Now, yesterday I showed you guys how to create a new Windows 7 installation USB media to install Windows 7 onto a modern Gen 7 Intel processor or the latest from AMD. Microsoft, their marketing company, is trying to get you out of Windows 7 and into Windows 10. And Windows 7 is fully supported until January 14th of 2020. So it's great to use. There's no issue. There's no reason not to use it if you want to use it until January 14th, 2020, after which you'd be a fool to continue using it, unless Microsoft extends the support, which it doesn't look like they're going to do. So what Microsoft marketing has done is they have underhandedly played you all for fools. What they're doing is they're no longer releasing any service packs for Windows 7 requiring you to download a ton of updates. They are checking to see which processor you have, and if you have the newest processors, you'll get a message that Windows updates don't support that CPU, even though there's no technical reason at all. It's just a marketing move. And there's a patch to fix that. And then there's a couple of other things that are occurring. And I thought I would just show you how involved it is. If you stubbornly need or want Windows 7, you have to work for it, versus just installing Windows 10 and being done. Windows 7 has about 6 or 7 hoops you've got to jump through to get it installed correctly. And that's what this video is going to demonstrate, start to finish, step by step. And I'm trying a little something different here. This gives me the ability to try a couple different streaming methods to see if I get any blue screen errors during the live stream as I did last time. And we'll see what happens. So let's do this. I'm going to turn this computer on. This is the computer I built the other day that has the bad RAM module on it. So I haven't gone through and done anything with it yet. So let's go ahead and just put Windows 7 on here. This is Kaby Lake, the video that I built this in. I'll make sure I add it to the links below in case you guys missed this build. And again, that build was done on the live stream. And let me go ahead and turn this on. And let me turn on the capture card for that. And let's see. Now, that doesn't look good. There we go. Now you guys should still be able to hear me. Is that correct? Everybody should still be able to hear me as you see the computer booting. And I just want to verify that. Now we don't have to worry about any audio sync issues, do we, folks? Right? So that I saw some chats in the comment said the audio's out of sync. Well, how about now? You don't need to be looking at me anyway. So here we're going to boot off that USB drive that we made that updated Windows 7 with the new USB 3 drivers that are necessary and the NVMe drivers that are also necessary. And what I need to do on my end here is I need to switch over to a different screen. Here we go. Now I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to click Next and Install Now. And this is just going to take a minute. And here it's going to next bring up the end user license agreement. So we'll accept that and click Next. And we always do a custom install. And it sees our NVMe drive, our 500 gig Samsung Evo 960 right there. So I hit Next. And then we just sit and wait for this to install. So while we're waiting for it to install, I just want to play with something here. I think I should be able to adjust this. I'm not exactly sure I know what I'm doing here. Let me move that up. And then let me shrink this down here. There we go. And now ideally you should be seeing both me and the computer at the same time. And if I can get some confirmation in the chat, because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. This is all sort of experimental and theoretical, but I think this is working. Yeah? Cool. And then once I get the green screen behind me, then I'll just be a floating head, because that's what everybody wants. Thank you for the comments in the chat. Looks like we've got about 169 people joining us in the chat. Welcome into the chat. We're doing a live install and configuration of Windows 7, and I'm going to show you all the tweaks I make to Windows 7. Basically, it's pretty involved. And we'll get to all that once we get everything else going here. The install is relatively quick, and then of course when it's all done, you'll be able to see just how fast Windows 7 loads on a Core i7. What are these? Core i7 7700s or something? Whatever the latest and greatest Core i7. Not the K version. There's no overclocking being done here. And as you can hear, the Intel cooler is silent. It's very quiet. I will say these Intel coolers are a bit louder on the i7s when you really crank them hard. Not so much on the i5s, but when the panels are on the case, and especially if you buy a good case, and oftentimes people are putting their towers under their desk, you don't hear anything at all anyway, or it's very faint. So this concept that cooler needs to be upgraded, especially on a non-K processor, to me is misguided. And just to give you guys that food for thought when you're making the decision that's right for you and you're spending your hard-earned money to decide what you want to invest in. Now, I also received a couple videos from viewers. I want to take this time now to remind you, if you have a build, you'd like to share photos and a little story of your build, please do that. I encourage you to reach out to me on the Facebook fan page, send a direct message there, or here on YouTube you can send me a direct message. Don't leave it in the comments, whichever one you're most comfortable with. And if you make a video showing your computer build, or you've got a YouTube channel and you're trying to raise your subscribers up, and you're covering a build or an upgrade, if you'd like, you can share that video with me and I will put it up on my channel and share your video with a bigger audience than perhaps what you have, and maybe people will want to subscribe to you after they see your video. That's on you. That's all I can do for you. And of course, if you want to share photos of your build, the process of your build, tell a little story of what was harder than you thought it was going to be, or what was easier, a little story of the parts you selected and why you selected them. I ideally would much rather see and hear you than have to read it aloud and show pictures, but it's all good. It all is a great way of showing off your rig and to inspire others that are like you, to show them that it's not just me saying this, that people of all ages and genders and locations and cultures can all do this. It's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding. So just stalling for time here as we're waiting for Windows 7 to install. I do think Windows 10 also installs faster. I haven't actually timed it, but I get the sense that with Windows 10 I probably would have been done already. But again, this is partly why you want to stick with Windows 10, is it's very, very easy to install. You won't have a lot of the driver issues we're going to have. You don't have any of the massive amounts of updates that have to be done. And of course, you don't have to worry about your support ending in 2 years either, because this is now October the 3rd, 2017 that I'm doing the live stream. And as I mentioned, Windows 7 support ends on January 14th, 2020. So you'll continue to receive updates from Microsoft for Windows 7 that will keep you safe and secure on the internet right up until January 14th, 2020. On January 15th, support ends, and you are playing Russian roulette with your identity if you continue to insist on using Windows 7. And that's your choice. You can use Windows XP or Windows 98 for all I care. But, oh, look at the colors. I wonder why it's doing that. Anyway, we're doing our first reboot here, and ideally it should now boot to the NVMe drive. And we're getting there. That's what I want to see. And it's going to ask us all right, well, we're just doing the completing the installation. It's going to ask us here in a minute for a few questions we have to answer, and then our install should be complete. Let's see. Still waiting. You know, right now you really can't get a system faster than this on the Core i7 platform as I'm recording this video live today. New processors are around the corner, Kaby Lake, and those will be out very soon. But for now, this is the fastest you can get, and of course you could get a faster graphics card. We're using the onboard graphics built into the CPU. And other than that, this is as fast as you could reasonably expect Windows to install, because we're doing it from a flash drive instead of from a DVD. And the DVD is very, very slow. So hopefully this is our last reboot. This is reboot number 3. Everything's just happening on its own. You'll see my hands have been in your sight the whole time, like a magician. All right. We are getting there. Now remember, none of the real storage drivers and everything that's going to speed Windows up have loaded yet. So the boot up time takes longer during the installation process than when we're done. Now for the username, I'm just going to type the word, I got to use the right keyboard. I'm going to use the word user and hit enter. I'm not going to put a password in, so I hit enter. And I'm not going to put a product key in. We can use this for 30 days without a product key, so I'm going to hit enter. It wants to use recommended settings, so I'll hit enter, and it wants me to set the time zone. These computers are going to California, so they will need to be on Pacific time, so I press enter. So finally, we should now be getting to the desktop here momentarily. And while that's doing that, let me just check in over here. Looks okay. This is good. And now we are at the desktop. All right, so one of the things I do right off the bat is I want to install the drivers that came with the motherboard. Now those are on a DVD, and what I have done is I have taken the DVD and copied the contents onto a flash drive, because this computer has no DVD drive. And the first thing I want to do is eject my media, but unfortunately you can't see it. Let me just move myself right over. Yeah, that looks good right there. All right, so now I want to go down here and I want to eject the flash drive. That's my Windows 7 install. Now I can safely remove it from the computer, and then we'll set that down. And then this is my flash drive. That is nothing more than a copy of the Motherboard Driver DVD. So we're going to plug that in. There we go. And we can open the file, open the folder, and Motherboard Driver DVD. Let's take this and copy it right to the desktop. That's what I think I need to do. Let's just put it right here, because the customer may need it in the future, so I want to make sure the customer has a copy of it. I'll eventually move it like into the documents folder or something like that, but for now, because I'm going to need to access it, I'm just going to put it on the desktop. This is a fast flash drive, so we're actually moving about 4.75 gigs worth of data. It's the entire Motherboard Driver DVD, just a full copy of the contents. We don't actually have to image it or anything. We just highlight everything in there and copy it. And then this should be done here in a minute. Now, a couple of things I like to do in Windows. I don't like any of my icons down here being hidden, so I'll click this and click Customize, and I click Always Show All Icons. That's me personally. I don't like Windows to hide anything. The other thing I like to do is I like the My Computer icon on the desktop. So I right-click and go to Personalize, change Desktop Icons, and add the computer icon. And then I can close that. And then I'm going to right-click and sort these by name. Now it just sorted it backwards, so I'll do it again, and now it's forwards. I double-click on my computer, right-click on the C drive, go to Properties, and turn off indexing, and click OK. It's faster to do that now than if you wait until you have a ton of files on your drive. You're always going to get this error. Just hit Ignore All, and in just a moment, that will be completed. And we can close that down. And while that's doing that, I like to right click on my computer, go to Properties, go to Advanced System Settings, and here where it says Startup and Recovery, go to Settings and turn off Automatically Restart. What'll happen is you'll get a blue screen error, and then Windows will restart, and it'll happen so fast you won't be able to read it. By unchecking that box, if you get a blue screen error, it'll stay on your screen until you hit the reset button or power the computer off. And that gives you ample time to read the information. And if you can't make heads or tails of it, take a picture of the information with your phone and then send it to somebody who can answer that for you, like our free support over at the Facebook fan page. Link is in the video notes below. Click OK, click OK. I'm going to close that out. I also don't like this control panel. When you go to control panel, you see this. I don't like that. I like the icon view, so I go to large icons. Then I hit F10 on the keyboard because I want, wrong keyboard, Carrie, I want to see this menu bar. So I go to, when I hit F10, these menus come up. I go to Tools, Folder Options, and View, and I say, always show me the menus, and do not hide extensions for file types. I hate that. I absolutely hate when Windows wants to hide things, whether it's stuff down here in the system tray or it's my file extensions. How do you know, is that an exe file or a PDF file that someone has disguised? It can be easy to forget when sometimes hackers will give two file extensions. They'll say .pdf.exe, and your computer will show the .pdf and then hide the .exe, and you think you're opening up a PDF file. So if you always display all extensions all the time, you'll see the double extensions that hackers try to get away with. Then the other thing I like to do is go to Power Options, and then do High Performance. So let's just do that. Actually, you know what we can do? Let's go to Balanced and then change the plan settings, and then change Advanced Power Settings, and then change settings that are currently unavailable. Require a password on wake up? No. I never want my NVMe drive to ever turn off. So we're going to set that to 0. Well, it'll be never. Wireless adapter, I always want that to be on, so that's good. Even though there is no wireless adapter, I just want that setting there. I never want to use hibernate. In fact, we're going to turn hibernate off. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. USB selective suspend. A lot of times when computers go to sleep and when they wake up, things don't operate again. A lot of times that's USB. I always turn this off, just let it run. Power buttons. This is mostly for laptops. When you hit the power button, shut down Windows. If you hit the sleep button, I'm just going to tell it to do nothing. And processor power management, we can leave display. We can turn off the display after a certain amount of minutes. I'm going to change this because I don't want it to blank out on us while we're recording. So let's just set this to an hour for now. I can change it later. And everything else is good. I'm going to hit apply and just kind of look through here. You don't have to hit apply. You can just hit OK, but when I hit OK, it's going to apply and then close the window, and I just wanted to double check that. Now you see this hasn't updated, so if I go back and then back into it again, now it updated, so don't let that fool you. All right, now let's go into the Motherboard Driver DVD and start this install. There's a file called run it wants to run, which is right here. And again, because I have file name extensions turned on, I can see that exe file. That's the one I want. This is, of course, from Gigabyte. This is the Gigabyte B250M D3H motherboard, but all of the Gigabyte DVD installed disks pretty much run the same way. Let's double click on that and click yes, and then let's close that. It's going to appear here momentarily. All right, well, it's doing that. Let me move myself back down out of the way here. In fact, how about if I just go right down here like this? Now, I don't want Google Drive. So I'm going to go over to Google Drive and uncheck that. I do not want Google Chrome. I do not want Google Toolbar. The customer can install that stuff. Microsoft.NET Framework, I want that. Norton Internet Security, I do not want that. Everything else is drivers, but there's no there's no Intel VGA driver. It's not in here. Well, let's cross that bridge later. hit Express Install, and that's going to install the items that we just selected. So this is going to take just a moment here. We're going to wait for that to install. Again, it happens a lot faster than it does from the driver DVD. You might benefit yourself to copy the contents of your DVD onto a hard drive or even on a flash drive before you go to install it, because your install is going to happen much, much faster. I encourage you, time it from DVD and then time it from USB, and watch how much faster the whole process of driver installation goes. Now, it's not necessary to download the latest drivers from the motherboard manufacturer. There are some people that have carried that over from the early 2000s. Drivers are simply not updated as often as they used to be. So there'd be very little benefit to you getting to a newer driver for just about any component, unless there's a major operating system change, like every 8 months Windows 10 gets updated. And that may benefit you then to look for newer drivers when that happens, but Windows 10 often has the best drivers it needs already. And when you start second guessing things like that, you're the guy who's going to have the computer that crashes, not your neighbor who doesn't know as much as you and didn't mess around with that stuff. So, you know, knowledge is power. I want you to be aware of the risks you take when you download drivers. If you don't know what you're doing, you can cause a perfectly good working computer to stop working, and then you may be in over your head. You can make a system restore point, but sometimes those don't work, and then you're up a creek for no reason. So I would suggest, if you're up for it, maybe make an image of the hard drive before you begin using the Windows backup software or Acronis or Macrium Reflect or something along those lines that allow you to make an image. In case you do bork it up, you'll be able to recover back to where it was, sort of as a safety net, so you can be more bold. Most people, they just jump right into drivers, and we've even had people ask about drivers on the support page, and we cannot advise people to install anything other than what came on the DVD or is available at the motherboard manufacturer's website. There's nothing worse than somebody asking if you should do it and you say yes, and then their computer crashes and then they blame you for it. So we much rather let you know the risks that you're taking, that you're fully aware of the decisions that you're making, and more than likely things will be okay, but it really depends on the condition of your computer. You could have spyware and malware and viruses you don't even know you've got, and it may not be a problem with the driver. It may be a problem with the condition of your operating system, and that you were trying to fix perhaps a slowness that was occurring due to malware or virus that your software didn't detect, or you're one of those people that thinks you don't need that stuff because you don't get viruses. And so you go download a driver, and then when that happens, the whole system gets borked up, and then in many cases you just have to wipe and reinstall Windows and start over again. So enter lightly. I don't know why my phone is going crazy. Let me just, wow, it just keeps going. Let me just clear all these out. So right now we're rebooting, having installed all of the drivers. And then we can move on to the next part here, which is going to be, oh no, it's still installing. Sorry, I forgot it. After certain drivers are loaded, the computer has to reboot, and then that's the cool thing about the motherboard driver disks. Often will reboot your computer automatically and continue where they left off, and do that as many times as needed for the options that you selected. So you just have to sit by and wait. I want to take another look at my my stream here. It looks like, yeah, okay, so now it's found our network card. So up until this point, even though I've had it plugged into the network, Windows 7 could not even see, and that's an Intel network chip. That's something I look for when I buy motherboards, by the way. I always look for that Intel-based network card because they tend to have fewer problems and actually function faster and more reliably than other manufacturers' network cards, especially like the killer network cards. Oh, I despise those things. They're such a hassle. All right, so now that we're here at this screen, this is going to be a work network, so we'll click Work and click Close. It says Install Finished. Please reboot your computer. So let's do that. Start. Oh, this bothers me. When you install new programs, by default, Windows 7, Windows 8, they like to highlight them in yellow. That drives me crazy. So I right-click on the taskbar and go to Properties, go to Start menu, go to Customize, and it's all alphabetized, right? C, C, D. I want Highlight. I'm going to look for the H's. There's Highlight. Newly installed programs, uncheck that annoyance. Click OK, click OK. Now, let's go ahead and restart the computer. That's going to take just a minute. Now, one of the things you need to know, especially if you have a solid state drive, your space is going to be limited for most people, whether it's 120 gig, 250 gig, or even 500 gig. You don't want to waste any of that precious space. So what we're going to want to do is turn off the hibernation file. Hibernation and sleep mode are really intended for laptops to save batteries. There's no reason at all to ever put a desktop in hibernation or sleep mode. It doesn't make any sense to do it, and I strongly advise you not to unless you like to solve problems because, well, it does work for many people. It also doesn't work for a lot of people, and those are the people we often hear from on the support side. And usually the way we fix it is say, why do you need it? And for the most part, people don't need it. The computer will respond and wake up faster if you just have it turn the display off. There's not much difference in power consumption, and your hardware, in my experience, my anecdotal real-life experience, is that your hardware will last longer if you stop turning it off and on. If you leave it on all the time, you will be less likely to have any problems with it. Generally speaking, there's always exceptions, but overall, statistically, my clients who leave their computers on 24/7 very rarely have any failures of any kind at all. Maybe a fan once in a while because the fans are always running, but hard drives last longer, everything just lasts longer. When you put it to sleep, you're cutting power. And when you wake it up again, power reinitializes and then things don't often work after that. I've seen network cards not work, mice stop working, anything USB or Wi-Fi stops working, and then you have to reboot it. Some power savings that was. So strongly advise saving sleep mode and hibernation for a laptop. So how do we turn off hibernation? Here's the thing. This computer is going to have 32 gigs of RAM. The amount of RAM you have is how big your hibernation file is going to be. So that's going to be a 32 gig hibernation file. Now right now the machine only has half that RAM. Right now it's 16 gigs of RAM because the other stick isn't working. That's still a 16 gig hibernation file. We don't need it. It's completely useless to us. So what you need to do is go over to, where's my mouse? We want to go over to, why is my mouse not working? I'm puzzled. Something's not right. So I don't know why my mouse isn't working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the computer, I'm just going to hit the power button on the computer, and the computer's going to cycle through, oh, now the mouse appeared. The computer should cycle through a power off process. I don't know, it almost looks like it's locked up. I'm going to hit reset on it. This is new, but that's okay. Computer says it's off. So let's turn it back on. I don't know why my display is still showing the windows. That must be an OBS thing or the capture card. It had me fooled. It did turn off. So we should be rebooting now. Oh, I don't think anything's wrong with the computer at all. I think this is my capture card that gave me a little bit of grief. So let me turn that capture card off and back on again. Off and back on. No. No. Let's try this. That should be, there we go. It was the capture card. There's nothing wrong with the computer. My bad. It's live, folks. It's live. All right, so let's turn that hibernation file off. Click on Start, type in CMD. I got to use the right keyboard, CMD, and then right-click on it and choose Run as Administrator. This is called opening up an elevated command prompt. And so we're going to click that, and it's going to ask for confirmation. We say yes. And here's the command. It's power CFG -H off. Boom, hibernation file is gone. And you'll also see that if we choose to shut the computer down, hibernate is no longer offered as an option. Real easy. Now, we don't have a VGA driver. If we look in the device manager, even though we use the manufacturer's driver disk, it shows a standard VGA graphics adapter. So here's how you're going to fix that. And this is, I don't know, maybe some agreement Gigabyte has with Microsoft. I'm not sure what's going on. We can click next there and don't turn on that, and click next. And use Express. This doesn't matter. This is all going to be updated. And let's go to Google. Jeez. I keep reaching for the wrong keyboard, guys, and I want to make sure I'm not typing in the chat room or something. No, everything looks good. So we're going to go over to Google, and I'm going to type in, here's a little trick for you. Type in the model of the motherboard. So this is a B250M-D3H, and I'm going to type the word BIOS in, even though I'm not looking for the BIOS. And the reason I'm going to do that is because there's a lot of third-party websites that try to install spyware and malware disguised as drivers, but not disguised as a BIOS. So when I search for that, I'm going to see the very first link when I use Google takes me right to Gigabyte's page for this motherboard. So I'm going to click on that link. Now, on the link, doesn't really matter how you answer that. What we're looking for is support, which is usually right up at the top of the page. Let's go to support. And we want drivers. I guess Gigabyte has changed this page for some reason. I want drivers. I keep using the wrong keyboard. Drivers. Well, here's what the problem is. I think the problem is I'm using Internet Explorer 8. Let's go get Chrome real quick. It just takes a minute. I think it's going to solve my issue. Because by default, it's using Internet Explorer 8. Of course, it's Microsoft Edge now is the default browser, and I think IE11 is the last browser for Windows 7. So we're going to go ahead and just get Chrome installed. Much like the joke that Marines were issued their handgun to get them to their rifle, many people jokingly say Internet Explorer exists to get you to get Chrome. All right, this just takes a moment. All right, now we're in Chrome. Let's start closing things down because it's getting convoluted. Let's bring up Chrome and do this again. We're going to type in B250M-D3H BIOS. First link from Google results should be taking me to Gigabyte, and it does. And up at the top of the page, it's still not there. It's supposed to say support. And it's usually right up here at the top, so something is missing. Let's do that. Downloads, that's what I'm looking for. We've got Windows 7. You see it does support Windows 7 64-bit. And we want the video driver, so audio, chipset, LAN. Oh, where is our video driver? Let's just say all. I don't know why it's not changing. Windows 7 64-bit. BIOS utility. It's not there. Oh, it's going to make me look like a... Oh, it's the wrong motherboard. This is not an AB350. This is a B250M we're supposed to be looking at. So, yeah, you got to pay attention to that, Carrie. Trying to teach people you don't even know how to do it yourself. How embarrassing is that? B250M D3H is the motherboard I want. BIOS. Now, should be a link for support. I don't see it. Let's try this down arrow. Support. That's what I want. All right, so OS, Windows 7 64-bit. Scroll down, VGA. And we want this driver right here, so we're going to download it. This is a big driver. We're going to grab it from America. 343 megs for that video driver. So remember, if you installed Windows 10, you wouldn't have to go through all this hassle. It's just Microsoft is making it difficult, and they've obviously made some kind of arrangement with Intel and with Gigabyte to not have this on the driver disk. I don't know what's going on there. I don't think it's a mistake. I think this is done with intention. It's to make you frustrated and to think that your hardware is not compatible because they say it's not compatible, and they lied. They are completely lying to you. Everything is compatible. The Windows 7, not everything. The hardware you buy today will run on Windows 7. Drivers are provided. Sometimes it can be a little difficult to find them, and man, they're making you really have to work to get Windows 7. I mean, we haven't even put any updates on yet, right? So I'm going to show you that problem next. But first, let's get our driver installed. So here we've got the driver downloaded. So I should, let's just click on it. Here we go. And let's just extract this. Let's extract all of it before we do anything else. It should just take a moment. Look at that. It extracts out to almost a gig just for your video card driver. That's just shameful. Although it is two video card drivers. There's a 32-bit and a 64-bit in there. It's 500 megs either, for either one. We click on that. We want the 64-bit release, and we'll go to Setup, and we click Yes, and Next, Yes, Next. And I can close that window, close that window, close that window. Looks like an update installed in the background. As soon as we got our network card to work, Windows immediately started installing an update. And that update checks to see which CPU you have. So it can tell you you can't get any more updates because your computer processor is not compatible. And it's a lie. We have to hit install on this. And this should just take us a moment. Now, once this is done, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to reboot, and we're going to go check Windows updates. and I'm going to show you how you get around turning and disabling that message that Microsoft falsely lies to you about. So we'll click next, and it's going to want to restart. So let's just go ahead and click finish because Windows wants to restart anyway. And oh, there's one more thing I want to do before I check Windows updates. And I'm gonna show it to you first so you understand why, because if I just do it, you're gonna be like, well, that was unnecessary. So I'm gonna show you why it's necessary, and that involves the driver for the NVMe. And the best way I can explain it is to just show it to you. So here we go, we've got our reboot happening now, and Windows should come up pretty quick here. I don't even think that's gonna form a flag, is it? Oh, it was just forming. Ah, there's our resolution. Look at that. Wow. That's like crazy. I might have to reduce that because that might look really bad to you guys. Because I'm broadcasting in 1080. So let me just make sure we're at 1080 on this. It's even hard for me to see. Adjust resolution. Well, that is 1920 by 1080. All right, good. We'll just leave it there then. Okay. Now, because we have a Samsung NVMe drive, we want to install the Samsung Magician software. It's one of the reasons why I like Samsung SSDs over any other manufacturer. Apart from the fact that they're the fastest and they're competitively priced and they've got great warranties and great support, it's the Samsung Magician software. So let's go there and get that now. Let me just go full screen on this so I can see what I'm doing. We're going to go to samsung.com/Samsung SSD and hit enter. And that's going to take you to Samsung's SSD page. And what we want is to search by product. This is a consumer SSD, so click on that. And we're running, is it a 960 Evo or a 960 Pro? I think we're running the Pro because it's NVMe, and we want the Samsung Magician software. So let's grab that. And then I'm going to minimize this because we're going to come back to it in a minute and I'm going to explain why. Oh, well, wait a minute. I have to get the download first. There's our download. Let me click on that. And then double click the executable and click run. And yes, okay. Next, agree, next, 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 install. All right, I'm going to close that. Launch Samsung Magician. Now let's minimize this. I want to show you what happens. It says, this drive is not supported, and I want you to pay particular attention to this right here. It says NVMe Driver, Microsoft. Therein lies our problem. Well, we needed that to get Windows 7 installed. Now, to take full advantage of the Samsung Magician software to communicate with the drive, we need to replace this driver. So right back where we were, you'll notice it says Samsung NVMe Driver. Look at that. And there's the driver right here. We don't need the installation guide. It's a pretty small download, just 3.5 megabytes. And then let's open that up, double click it, and click yes, okay, next, agree, next, install. Now this is going to want to reboot. After all, we're changing a massive driver here. This is the controller driver. This is why you can't often move Windows from one computer to another, because the hard drive controllers change. And that's how your hard drive communicates to your operating system, is through the chipset, through the controller. And the minute that controller changes, it no worky. Stop 7B, yo. Now Windows should come up a lot faster using that Samsung NVMe driver, and the Samsung Magician software should work correctly. But wait, there's more that's broken. I can't wait to show you this. All right, so let me go back over here and move myself. Oh, nope, that's not what I want. Let me move me up a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And let's bring up the Samsung Magician software takes a minute to load. It always does. It's going to appear here. There it is. It just appeared. Double click. Now, look at this. Now it sees our drive. It sees we've got the latest BIOS or the latest firmware. If there's a new firmware, you just click a button and it updates it and you reboot the computer. It's that easy. And there's always this disclaimer that you should back up your data, because when you update the firmware, it's possible that you could lose your data. I've never had it lose data ever. Samsung makes that so painless. You'll see its interface is PCIe Gen 3x4, which is where it should be. Our driver is now Samsung. Our trim status is enabled. RAID mode is not supported in, I guess, Windows 7 with this configuration. I think this would work in Windows 10, but it's just a cache anyway. We can go over to Performance Benchmark and run the Performance Benchmark and check this out. Watch these read speeds, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to do the test right now. And we're streaming at the same, well, actually, this computer's not doing anything. Never mind, forget I said anything. So, well, here's going to be just the most awesome thing. Like a regular mechanical hard drive transfers data about 130, 140 megabytes per second. A normal SSD about 550, and this one is doing it at 3142. Are you kidding me? 3142. That is so cool. And the write speed's not too shabby either. So that's all working the way it should. Now let's move on to fixing the next problem. We're going to bring up Windows Update. So we're going to start Programs and Windows Update. Now look, it says we've got 192 important updates totaling 1.275 gigabytes. So hope you're not on a metered connection. We're going to click Install Updates. We have to agree to the license agreement. We've got to follow these steps, because what's going to happen is is it actually going to let us download the updates? We're going to find out here in a minute. Now this process is going to take a while. So what I'd like to do while this is happening is talk to you guys. And let's see, where are you guys? There you are. I'm not sure why somebody's bringing up RAID mode. I haven't talked about RAID mode. I said rapid mode, and it said it right on the screen. So, folks, I need you guys to watch the details here. Stop making assumptions unless somebody mentioned RAID, but then why are you directing the answer to me? It is possible to RAID M.2 drives. It is absolutely possible. Some motherboards do support it. Check Asus and Gigabyte motherboards that have dual M.2 controllers. You can also buy PCIe add-in cards, and you can RAID those as well. There's really not a whole lot of performance benefit to doing it unless you do certain types of files, but you've just pulled me off into a whole nother track. Let me look back at the chat for things that are on track here. Paul Moon says, "Hi Carrie, watching you from Qatar." Very cool. You said RAID. I said rapid mode. And if I said RAID, I meant rapid. It's rapid mode. Rapid. I think I spoke so quickly you misheard me, but sometimes my brain thinks I said one thing, so I'll have to look at the playback. But anyway, it's called rapid mode, and rapid mode is a feature of the Samsung Magician software on some Samsung drives in certain operating systems. It works as a giant cache, and your read speeds jump from, say, 2,500 to 5,000, but they're not real read speeds. They're cached. So you will see a performance increase on things that you load often, and you will still have the fast speed of the non-cache when they don't. So there's no reason to not enable rapid mode if it's available for you. It's a feature strictly unique to Samsung solid-state drives, both their traditional SSDs and their M.2 and NVMe drives. Okay, so hopefully I cleared that up. I'm looking at the chat right now. I'm just kind of looking to see if there's any questions I can address. Kaby Lake is 2 words. They're asking if, oh, they spelled Kaby Lake. Did I spell it Kaby? Oh, you're right. I thought you were Kaby Lake. Yeah, you're right. There it is. Let's just correct that. Thank you for pointing that out. That means it's going to be down here incorrectly too. I thought, what's interesting when I was spell checking everything, Sky Lake is 1 word, but Kaby Lake and Coffee Lake are 2 words. Can anybody explain that to me? I have no idea what's going on with that. But in this case, I actually typoed there, so that's corrected. Thank you for pointing that out. My bad. I think your download is stalled. No, this just takes a long time. What Microsoft Windows Update does, and remember my internet connection, I'm using that to watch the stream and do the stream while at the same time trying to download these Windows updates. It's going to be a while. This is the most lengthy process, and it's going to be a while to download that. And then once it downloads, it's going to be another while as it installs each one. It's probably going to take an hour or longer. So we may end up cutting the stream here and then continuing it once that's complete, unless you guys have questions I can answer to sort of keep us distracted. You have to be patient. 1.2 gigs? Microsoft right now is compiling all of those updates you're missing on their server to get your download ready for you. It is extraordinarily time consuming. Be patient, it has not stalled. Carrie, you should have downloaded Windows Offline Update. That takes too long. It's not any faster than doing it this way. In fact, the download process is pretty quick. It's the install process that takes forever. But if you want to go through that, you go through that. This is intended for anybody to easily follow, and by adding more complicated steps like that is great for nerds and computer elite, but for your average viewer or user who these videos are intended for, I want them to be able to follow step by step with extreme clarity and make everything as simple as they possibly can be. I don't think this process can be any simpler. That's my opinion, and if you disagree with it, you're welcome to make your own videos. All right, so what do we got? In the chat, Drakely says, this is complicated, just used Windows 10. There's a number of reasons why people don't use Windows 10, and there's a real lack in the world today of people having consideration for other people, and it saddens me to see that as I've gotten older, the world's become very judgmental towards each other. People oftentimes, more often than not, seem to lack common consideration for fellow human beings. They don't ask why you need Windows 7. They just assume you don't need it and that you're an idiot for not running Windows 10. And that just speaks of the culture of the world we live in, and it's not evolution as far as I'm concerned. It's an extraordinarily selfish and rude expression. When I was growing up, if you had thoughts like that, you kept them to yourself. But this tends to be, everybody wants to be smarter and prove how smart they are and challenge each other. And just be aware of that and make the decision that's best for you. If you need Windows 7, don't worry about what anybody else says. If you need it, this is the process to get it installed on a Kaby Lake processor or Ryzen or Threadripper or Core i9, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's no real incompatibility that exists. That's just Microsoft marketing. So we are still working. Everything's working. And let me check and see. You guys are saying the capture card has frozen. Let me just double check and see. I'm still moving. I'm still working on the capture here. Just give me a moment. And if it's not that one, it should be this one maybe? Is that the... Yeah, it seems to have it's blanked out on me for some reason, unless I'm selecting the wrong card. Let's try that card instead. Anything? Wonder why that happened. It is updating right now. Let me try just pulling the HDMI cable and plugging it back in again. That doesn't seem to have helped at all. Let's try that. Okay, one other thing I can try. I have to sort of move away from you guys here for a minute, and that is we can go to, let's see, it should be this capture card right here. And then let's just reset that, see if that helps. The capture card I want to get that should solve all of these little issues is $900, so I'm going to have to wait. There we go. It looks like something happened to the resolution on the screen during the updates, because you see how everything shifted. Or that could have happened when I unplugged the HDMI cable, I'm not sure. But as you can see here, we're up to just update 12. You know what, let's make this full screen so we can all see it. Not that that helped very much, did it? There's nothing really else to look at. Let me go back to the chat and let's see, well, like I said, while we're waiting, this is going to be a while. And remember, this is an NVMe M.2 drive with a Core i7, the fastest Core i7 socket 1151 available today. And this is as fast as you can expect these installs to go. Let's see if I missed any questions when I was doing that. Capture card needed an update. No, I don't think it's the capture card. And the drivers for the capture card are all built into Windows. There's these capture cards from Magewell. They don't require any drivers at all. It's pretty awesome. Windows 7, 8, 10, you just plug it in and they work. The other capture card I had from StarTech, I couldn't get the audio to function without some special adjustment in OBS, and it wouldn't work at all in Skype, and it wouldn't work at all in Google Hangouts. The video would work, but not the embedded audio in the HDMI, and there was no way to separate it out. But the Magewell card does that, and I've seen the same problems with Elgato, where the audio doesn't work in Skype or in Google Hangouts. But Elgato makes some really cool streaming stuff. In fact, they've got a green screen I want to buy. It's about $150, and it's this little portable green screen that you pull up on it like a projector, except instead of pulling down from the ceiling, you pull up from the floor, and it's got a little support brace in it. So if you're looking into doing any type of streaming, look at Elgato's equipment, because they got some pretty cool stuff. But Magewell has a 4-input HDMI capture card, a PCI Express. You can plug 4 HDMIs into it. And that would allow me to plug in cameras 1, 2, and 3 along with a computer. It's $899. So if any of you want to buy that for me, until then you're going to have to put up with what I got, all right? So let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Your internet speed must be good. The internet here is about 60 down and about 7 or 8 up. It's not really that good. My good friend and viewer in England, Bill Leatherland, just got fiber optic, and he demonstrated his speed. And I'll have him make a video and show you guys. He's getting about 900 up and down. Can you imagine if I had that? I would never sleep. Hi, Carrie. I missed the start of your stream. Have you heard back from the memory manufacturers regarding the faulty memory? That's a good question. I did not address that. So when I contacted Team, the company that makes the memory, they said to contact Team USA, which I did, but have not heard a response. So I emailed them back and said, this is what I sent them. I haven't heard anything from them. And they said, okay, well, here's your RMA number and follow these steps. So they told me to go somewhere else, then that somewhere else didn't answer me, and then they ended up taking care of it. I wish they would have just done that the first time. I also am curious if this computer might have a bad power supply, and maybe the memory's not bad. Maybe it's my power supply, and I was going to diagnose that later. But the reason I say that is my rear case fan. You know what? Let me show you. We're just sitting here watching this anyway. Let's turn that one off, and let me bring myself fit to screen. Okay, now I should be full screen. So this rear case fan back here is plugged in, but it's not turning. See that? But if I reach inside of the case and I give it a little kickstart, now it's turning. What are the odds that of all the cases, I happen to pick the case that has the bad fan with the same build that has the bad RAM? Could it be that the power supply is in fact what's causing all of this? I don't know yet. So that is subject matter for a future video. And you know what? I can eject that flash drive. Let me go back to my other card. Oh, it locked up on me again. Very interesting. I'm not sure why these lockups are happening. It's very strange. I'm going to unplug this card. I'm going to try plugging it into a different USB port. Maybe if we go, let's go share these two, and let's really ask for trouble now. This ought to really tick it off. Let's see. There we go. So we're on update 73 of 192. I'm gonna have to just keep an eye on that and see what's going on with that lockup. I may have to try another technique. This is all part of my little experiment anyway, so. Now I'm gonna turn this one back on and turn this one off. And then I wanna switch back and see if it locked up, because that's what it did before. No, it's still working. Okay. So in any event, let me go back. So in any event, that rear fan is not a big deal if it's the fan, because I'll just take this one out of the front. I'm not using it anyway, and I'll just move it to the back. And I don't even need to put another one back in the front. They're not going to use it. There's no reason to use it. So it's like having a spare tire, you know? That's what it's there for as far as I'm concerned. But I'm very suspicious that that fan doesn't seem to be getting enough power. And I feel like I've got a power supply that just might be on the edge. So I'm not sure. I want to check it before I send the RAM back to Team to verify that in fact, I mean, the RAM was pretty consistent that that particular stick didn't work. But the fan not spinning, that really bugs me. All right, so let me set this back up the way it was. Let's turn this back on. And let's get me down in the corner. Put me in the corner, grabbing the wrong screens. And let's do this. There, that should be better. And let me move myself up a little bit. You know, how about right here? That looks pretty good. All right, now let me get back to the chat room. All right. Now, are there any other questions that anybody has that I can answer? Oh yeah, I was going to eject the flash drive. That's why I started this whole rigmarole. And then I got it all sorted out and then forgot to eject the flash drive, which is what started it all. So let's go here. Thank you for reminding me. And let's eject that because we are done with that driver DVD. In fact, the minute I copied it onto the desktop, I didn't need it anymore. So let's go ahead and put that away. Very good. Thank you. Have you ever had a PC go bang on you? Yeah, it's happened a couple times. Do you make or recommend disk cleaners? I don't know what a disk cleaner is. There's a video I did about data recovery versus data destruction. I think maybe if that's what you're asking about, that's all been covered in a lot of detail. Would you consider a tour of your office? Absolutely not, no. Carrie, do you work with Linux? No, I only work with Windows. Just joined, will you enable the updates for other products later? Yes, in fact, that's one of the things we'll get to once this round of updates is done. I'm going to show you how you do that. Stephen Barber says he liked the drunk tech support. Looks like I'll be doing another one of those. I had about a half dozen people who seemed really upset because I guess at some point they lost their sense of humor and no longer have tolerance to humor. I think that's really sad. Everything doesn't have to be serious all the time, and of course, if it's a video based on the title, if you don't think it's going to be of interest to you because you don't have a sense of humor, or your sense of humor is such that you don't find that funny, don't watch it. Because overwhelming, I mean, that video had 10,000 views in the first 24 hours, which doesn't happen very often to videos. And the data recovery video, we hit 100,000 views in, I think it was a week? No. How long was it? I don't know, it was a couple weeks. I've never had a video hit 100,000 views that quickly. And that's the one where I did the professional data recovery part 1 video. You'll see the view numbers on it. It's incredible. So what I'm following isn't what people are saying. Like, you can say I liked it, and you can say this, you can say that. What I'm looking at mostly are the view numbers. If the view numbers are high, then obviously people liked it. If the view numbers are low, maybe I need to stop doing videos like that or take a different approach. So my sister had called me and said that I missed some great opportunities for punchlines, and she wishes she was with me. So next time she will join me and we will drink together. And we all know that when you put a pretty girl in a video on YouTube, you get a lot of views, right? So why not? So my sister will join me on the next one. I don't know when that's going to be. Probably some time from now. We're going to have a big. They're not going to happen very often. So there's going to be a large gap between the drunk support videos, but we will revisit them again and give other people a chance to participate who didn't get through. I had over 200 voicemails the next day. 200. Most of them were hang-ups. Probably 180 of them were hang-ups. 15 of them were just people drunk themselves. You couldn't understand what they were saying, or they were playing back noises from movies or Prank Owl. And then like 5 were actually people leaving a message. And those are all erased. And that phone number is disconnected. The phone number doesn't work anymore. And somebody has volunteered to edit that video down to about 17 minutes, kind of make a best of and blur the phone number out, and then I'll post that. So for people that don't have 4 hours to watch it, this will whittle it down to just the funniest 17 minutes. And if you ever want to edit any of my videos that go on and on and on, and you just want to condense it down to like a digestible 20 minutes, and you're just doing it because you want to, because like I said, the YouTube they don't pay me enough to pay you. I mean, I'm barely able to do what I need to do. But I'm certainly game to giving you credit for the editing work, and we can use Google Drive or Dropbox to transfer the files back and forth, and we'll just put that out there for you. All right, now, let me get back to the chat here. Just want to make sure our video's not locked up. We're on 94 of 192, that's good. Austin, I had asked Austin to call. Austin's a good friend of mine in Michigan, and Michigan's 3 hours ahead, and Austin could not get through to the lines. I even asked you guys to stop calling so he could get through, and you people just ignored me. All of you ignored, well, some of you ignored me, and poor Austin just gave up and went to bed. But he did leave a voicemail that he tried to call. So maybe next time, maybe next time. We did get to talk to a different Austin, so it wasn't all lost, but it wasn't the Austin that I know. Yeah, Malcolm Crab in the chat says, thanks for adding my Ryzen build to your liked video list. He's got a build video that he did where he's building a Ryzen. It's put together pretty well. Check it out. Check it out. His name's in the chat. I think if you click on his name, it'll take you to his YouTube channel. Joshua Langford says, I'm watching from Houston, Texas. I would love to get a flood damaged computer or laptop out of Houston and try and get data recovery done on it. If you know anybody in Houston that has a damaged computer they're looking to recover data from, please let me know, or give them my Facebook fan page. You know, tell them to go to Kerry Holzman's YouTube fan page on Facebook and send us a message. They can ship that computer here, and I can do a live stream video of me taking it apart and pulling the data off. And we can put the data onto another drive or put it up on Dropbox for them to download it onto another computer. There has got to be a ton of damaged computers. Yes, or Florida as well. Anywhere where there was flood damage, I imagine there's going to be a lot of lost data as a result of these massive hurricanes that hit Texas and Florida and the Keys. All right, how are we doing on our update here? 102 of 192. And you can watch this clock down here on the corner to see how long this is taking. Remember, it's going to take a while, and this is as fast as it could possibly go. There's not a consumer processor we can buy that's going to be any faster. More RAM isn't going to make it any faster, and there's not a faster NVMe drive or any other storage drive on the market today that could make this go any faster. So this is a best case scenario, and I want you to be prepared if you decide you want to undertake this challenge of installing Windows 7. Let me go back to my, sorry, I was using the wrong mouse. I was pointing down here at the clock down here. You can watch how much time has passed. Okay, now I can use the other mouse. It gets really confusing when you have two mice and two keyboards, and one's controlling the streamer and one's controlling the install. And they're different colors, but I'm still not I'm not doing this often enough to get used to it yet. If and when I ever get a studio, I'll be able to set things out a little more logically, and everything will be hardwired. But because I have to set this up and tear it down every day, there's always little configuration changes between streams. The good news is, knock on wood, and I shouldn't jinx myself, no blue screen errors. No blue screen errors. And if we can go through this whole stream without a blue screen error, I think it's my StarTech capture card that's causing it. So I think I made a big mistake when I bought that StarTech capture card. And unfortunately, I bought 2 of them. That's about $300 worth of capture cards. And frustrating to think it's working well and then have it just randomly blue screen and go through all of these changes and updates on the computer to try and fix it, only to find out it's some driver I have no control over that doesn't have much support. It's sort of like, here's the driver for it. You don't really have much choice. Take it or leave it. These Magewell cards, like I say, they don't use any external drivers. Windows just instantly recognizes them. There's no audio issues there. You know, I can add the audio to this computer very easily to the stream. I didn't, because I don't want to distract from the noise, but every time Windows starts and shuts down and it plays the music, that would all go through the capture card. I've just turned it off. I like that, because with the StarTech card, what I would have to do is I would have to run audio out of my camera into the line input on my sound card, even though the audio was already in the HDMI cable I've already run. That's the whole point of having HDMI. I thought by now streaming should be click a button and go. And unfortunately, streaming is still really complicated. Try and stream live on Facebook without a phone. Try to get your desktop to stream live on Facebook. It can be done, but it's going to require a bit of Google searching to figure it out. I'll just leave it to you that way. People are asking if I like Seagate or Western Digital. They're both, as far as I'm concerned, the same. I experienced the same successes and failures, the same life expectancy, the same RMA process, the same turnaround time, and the same prices. Each manufacturer has had some bad drives. Seagate 3 terabyte drives were pretty bad there for a while when they first came out. Western Digital, for a while, weren't including the little clip to hold the SATA cable into the drive. I think all that's been resolved now, but there will continually be a specific model of drive from each manufacturer, at least one, that sucks. Western Digital's Passport, the little portable drives, I won't buy those anymore because, as I learned from Brian Cometa over at $300 Data Recovery, those are all encrypted. And so data recovery is a bit more complicated on those. Instead, I buy the Seagate Elements, or this, I think they're Seagate Elements. They're just a little 2.5-inch USB powered. They've got those up to 5 terabytes now. They run right off USB power. You stick it in your pocket. It's great. And the Seagate drives, I have a ton of those Element drives. I think I have about 12 of them. And I use them for customer backups. I use them for my own backups. And they were about $60 for a 1 terabyte. Now I see them on sale for 2 terabytes for $60. And it's the same form factor. You can't tell by looking at it which one's which. They look exact. The 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte are exactly identical. So I have to get my label gun out and I put a label that tells me what they are. Even the old 500 megabyte ones are still the same form factor, same footprint. Bailey Drain wants to know, I know you've been in the computer business for quite some time, but when did you decide to build new computers for your clients? Whenever a client said they wanted a new computer, then that's what the client wants. That's what you provide, if it's technical. Looks like stream is still running okay. Mouse is moving. Good, good, good. people are talking about time zones. When I was growing up and you talk to somebody long distance on the telephone, one of the questions you'd ask is, what time is it and what's the weather like? When you guys have Google, you just type that into Google. What's the time in Phoenix? Somebody in California says they're not on the same time zone as Arizona because Arizona doesn't follow daylight savings. But if they would have Googled that, they would have seen we are in fact on the same time zone until daylight savings time, which in the winter months, California will fall back an hour, but Arizona will never move. So from Arizona to the East Coast right now is 3 hours, just as it is in California. And in the fall, when they fall back an hour, will be 2 hours difference to the East Coast, and California will be an hour behind us, as will Nevada and Colorado, et cetera, et cetera. But you don't have to memorize all this stuff. Google will tell you. If you just say, what time is it in Phoenix? Or you have an Alexa or a Google Echo, Alexa, what time is it in Phoenix? It'll just tell you, and then you can look at your clock. It's not rocket science. I'd love to empower people to stop making assumptions and to just take 2 seconds to look the information up. It's so easy to do now. And I still fight it constantly, the constant myths and misconceptions that are given out about, whether we're talking about defragging hard drives or hard drive partitions, just a lot of old, outdated information that's obsolete and no longer applicable to modern computers, but people are still perpetuating the false information. Or it wasn't false 15 years ago, but it's false today. And again, many searches will empower you to not become dependent on what another human being tells you. There is a trick to knowing real information from false information, but overall, Wikipedia is generally a reliable source. And of course, going to a manufacturer's website or to a state website, when we talk about time zones, there's government websites for time zone. So you can, and Google has gotten better at putting those accurate or reputable sites at the top of your search. If you use a different search engine, they don't do that. So I hate using Bing because Bing, when I do a search, it shows me all of these irrelevant or non-reputable sites. I don't know why they do that. And when I use Google, the first 5 or 6 sites generally on any search, are legit. So practice makes perfect on that. So learn some Google Foo, and you can Google Foo to learn more about how to best use Google. Carrie, does Skype see your new Magewell card? Yeah, well, that's the whole point of it. That's what I just got done saying. Skype and Google Hangouts. The audio doesn't work on the StarTech capture card. Both the internal and the external card use the same driver, and Skype will let me use the video, but it won't let me use the audio. And the same with Google Hangouts. The Magewell card, you just plug it in, no drivers, everything works like it's supposed to. So you can save money. The Magewell card's $299, but if you go to Amazon and you type in Hialien, Hialien, you will see the exact same card that Magewell's. It's a little USB capture card, USB 3. Magewell sells it for $299, and you can get it from Hialien for $129.99 with Amazon Prime. So if you don't like it, you can send it back. Amazon backs all that up. And the only difference, so far as I can tell, is it doesn't say Magewell on it. It appears to be exactly identical in every way. And I bought 2 of them, which is $260 versus one Magewell, which is $299. So decide for yourself, save some money. There's also, in many of my video notes, you will see links to products where I point to Amazon. If you guys want to support the page, if you click on any of those links that take you to Amazon and you buy anything from Amazon, anything at all, doesn't have to be what the link took you to, I'll make a small commission from that. Your price doesn't change at all. And I'll work on getting a little icon for you guys that you can, like a, not an icon, I'll get you a direct website to my referral link to Amazon, and then you guys can save it as a favorite. But in the meantime, you can just click on any of those links in any of my video descriptions that take you to Amazon, and then just shop for whatever you want. Once it takes you to Amazon, anything you buy in that browser session from Amazon, I make a very small commission on. The price doesn't, nothing changes for you. You don't pay any more. It has no effect on you at all. And if enough people do it, it can actually pay me better than what YouTube pays me. I've had months where I made 3 times more through Amazon commissions than what YouTube paid me on the videos that pointed those links, that presented those links to the viewers. So just so you know, many of us buy from Amazon anyway, so what difference does it make if somebody's going to get a little kickback when it doesn't cost you anything? And if it's a great way of showing your support for the channel. There's a lot of stuff I want to buy. I want to get that $900 Magewell quad port HDMI capture card. I want to get the $150 Elgato extracted green screen. I want to get a Logitech webcam Pro for streamers that goes on my monitor, so when we do conversations like this, it can be right on my face. And then I can have the green screen behind me and I can be floating here on the desktop. I want to get, all this stuff is really expensive. I just got the dual microphones. That was $400. I haven't even taken them out of the box yet. They're still brand new in the box. I got to get them configured. I've got a real exciting, oh, what the heck, we got time. I'll let you in on a little secret for you guys. I've always wanted to build a computer with my father. When I get emails from people that say, I built a computer with my son or my daughter, I'm jealous that they had this great bonding time and they got to build that together, and that I never had that with my father. There's, computers like this, making them easy to build didn't really happen until about 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, I was about 30, close to 30. My dad's 25 years older than me, so as I approach 50 and he approaches 75, time is ticking if we're going to do this. If we're going to do it, we better do it. So, long story short, last night I ordered all the new parts for his new computer. You're not going to see any new videos from me for a few days because I'm going to be traveling to Las Vegas, where I'll be hanging out with my father. And during that time that we'll be hanging out together, just the two of us, I'm bringing the camera equipment and the microphone and everything, and I'm going to film. He and I, well, he's going to build it. I'm going to instruct it. Just like if you saw the build mitzvah that I did with my nephew. My nephew did all the work. I just instructed him. The difference was I only had one microphone and I put it on him and he only said 4 words. He said whatever. It's kind of a hassle. So this microphone that you hear me on now is a $500 microphone. When you want to go to 2 microphones, things start getting complicated because then you need separate receivers and you need a mixer and you need a way to bring it into a recorder. Then you have to take that audio and sync it up with the video. It's a hassle. So the fact that somebody makes a wireless lapel mic that has 1 receiver but 2 transmitters is fascinating. I just hope the quality is as good as this Sony that I'm using. Interestingly, it looks exactly like the Sony. It's made of metal like the Sony. The battery compartment's the same. Everything looks identical. The buttons are a little bit different. So I'm hoping it has that Sony quality. It's $400. So I expect a lot from it. So that'll be the first time I use it, is on the build with my dad. And we'll be building a Core i7 7700. It'll be a pretty straightforward build. SanDisk SSD plus 480 gig or 500 gig, whatever that is. SSD, 16 gigs of DDR4. We're going to use onboard video. My father does some video editing when he goes on vacation. He likes to shoot videos of his vacations. He goes on round the world cruises and such. and he likes to whittle that video down and then burn it onto a DVD and send it to my relatives that are in their 70s and 80s and 90s, so they don't know how to use YouTube. He still needs a DVD player, so we ordered him a new DVD player and a new power supply and a Corsair 200R case. And that's going to be his build. I'm very confident he's going to be able to, I think he's going to be shocked at how easy it is to build. My father used to work on big IBM mainframes like System 34, System 36. I think he had a mini System 36 in the house. I mean, we were never allowed to touch it. I didn't know what it did. So the fact I'm into computers is just purely coincidental. My dad was an RPG-2 programmer and last worked on AS400s before he retired. And anyway, so that's what you're going to be looking forward to. I'll be doing that this weekend, and when I come back, I'll probably be back Monday or Tuesday. No, I'll be back Sunday or Monday. And then I've got a dentist appointment on Tuesday. Somewhere in there, I'm going to try and find some time to edit and get it posted. So this may be the last video until next week. Maybe. I'm trying to wrap up finalizing these 4 builds I started. I got to get the wire management done on them. And I still have one I have to deliver to a customer. I can do that tomorrow, and then I'm out of here on Thursday. Time flies. I mean, everything's moving so quick. So that's what's going on with me, and you guys have that to look forward to. Do you have an affiliate link on Amazon for Windows 7 Pro? I don't think so. The problem trying to buy Windows 7 from Amazon is who's selling it on Amazon. If it's not directly from Amazon, if it's from a marketplace seller, you might be getting a pirated or an illegal copy of Windows 7. How's my install doing? We're looking at 147 of 192. And how long have we been streaming? How long has this been? An hour and a half, almost an hour and 40 minutes. And again, this is about as fast as you can expect this process to take, whatever this turns out to be. Windows support losing 7 and 20. Windows 7 support ends. I realize people are joining the stream now and have completely missed everything I've already discussed. That's one of the frustrating things about doing a live stream is people come in and they start asking questions about stuff we already talked about. But yes, to say it again, Windows 7 support ends in over 2 years. It'll be January 14th of 2020. 2 years is a long time, especially for a business. That gives them time to make the investments that they need to make in the software and hardware that require them to have Windows 7 for compatibility reasons. And they don't want to make that investment at this time, but at least they know it's coming and it gives them time to prepare for it. Other people simply just want Windows 7 until they can't use it anymore. There will be people running Windows 7 in 2022 and in 2023 without any support for 3 years, and they will still be running it, in my opinion, foolishly, and they will justify it, but it won't, whatever their identity gets stolen, whatever problems they have won't be my problem. So all I can do is let you guys know, and you are going to have to live with the consequences and the benefits of your decisions. I have no horse in the race, so it doesn't matter to me why anybody wants to run. If you want to run Windows 98, go for it. I don't care. But if you come asking us for support, we'll simply not be able to support you. I don't know anybody who will. So you're on your own. Do you have a step-by-step doing Windows 10? Yes, it's the install of Windows 8. There's a install guide for Windows 8. It is not any different. Windows 10 goes in exactly the same way. So you've also seen me install Windows 10 on a few of the computer builds. where I not only built the computer but installed the operating system. I think there's at least 2 computer build videos where I show the installation process of 10. But all it really involves is plugging the flash drive in with Windows 10 on it and pressing enter and enter and enter and going through it. Once it's installed, I really don't make any changes like I do with Windows 7, like you saw me make. I will still go into the system and I will still turn off automatic restart. It's in the same place on Windows 10 as it is on Windows 8, as it is on Windows 7. I don't think Windows 10 highlights anything in the start menu anymore, so you don't have to deal with that. Turning off the hibernation file is the same on Windows 7 as it is in Windows 8, as it is in Windows 10. None of that's different. You no longer have to do the file cleanup, which I will do at the end of this video, because Windows 10 does that automatically. So Windows 10 is much easier, and fewer things have to be changed. So making an install it's redundant. If I run out of ideas, or if I have a machine where I have time to film and live stream the install of Windows 10, I will demonstrate it, but it's no different than how I show Windows 8. It's no different. Carrie, which certification should I get to start in the IT industry? Find out what your employer requires, and that's what you should go get. Username 2W says, thank you for the Win 10 info, as well as to whom inquired about it. No problem, no problem. Wow, your father's almost 75. I'm going to the Philippines to spend 10 months with my wife and kids. My daughter's 5, my son is 7, and I'll be 76 on January 3rd. He must mean 2018. He's got 17. He says, I miss my father. He was born in April of 1897. Wow. Good on you. Good for you. I'm here for Mr. Meeseeks. Is Mr. Meeseeks out? Hold on, let me get him for you. Where did Mr. Meeseeks go? I mean, if you came here for Mr. Meeseeks, you ought to be able to see Mr. Meeseeks. Mr. Meeseeks, where are you? Oh, there you are. There he is. All right. Hey, look at me. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Life is pain. Gee, Beth, I'm sorry you didn't have any bad memories of me. Ooh-wee, I'm Mr. Poopy Butthole. That's his name. Mr. Poopy Butthole. Ooh-wee. Look at me. There you go. Silliness. It's all Rick and Morty silliness up in here. We can put Mr. Meeseeks right here. He's probably going to fall over. He's got a big head. Mr. Meeseeks, can you get this Windows 7 install done? Can do. Stay over there, buddy. Stay over there. Mr. Poopy Butthole. How about we put you right over here? Look at that. Product placement. If I can only get somebody to pay me some money for that. Maybe someday. What happened to the Butterbot? The Butterbot is now living with my sister. We've got joint custody. All right, how is our install going? Is it done yet? 163 of 192 is taking forever. Forever. I was thinking of having this done before I started the stream and just imaging it and restoring from a Acronis image because it takes like 5 minutes. But then I thought you guys would think it was fake and it wouldn't set the right expectation of what this process was really like. So in order to keep it genuine and authentic, I just thought, let's do it for real, start to finish, click by click, so that if you're following along with me, you know exactly what to expect before you begin the project, and know what to do when these certain error messages come up or certain things don't work in the order that I've encountered them, because you will encounter them in the same order. So that was the point behind that, and that's why this video, obviously, if I take this into editing and I cut this part out, it'll significantly take an hour right off this video. And maybe I might do that. I haven't made up my mind. It's just as easy for people watching it. They can drag that scroll bar forward an hour or whatever it is when it's done. So it's not exactly asking the viewer to do much if it bothers them. Any thoughts on Crucial M.2 SSDs? Looking at a couple on Amazon right now. Don't really have any experience with Crucial M.2s. I'm sure they're fine. As long as you always have a backup of your data, who cares? Image your drive, and if your drive ever fails for any reason, just get another one and restore the data back, restore the image back. And a Acronis image restore, like when I'm all done here, and this whole process takes like 3 hours, to image it to Acronis will take about a half an hour. And if I ever want to restore it, it'll take about 6 minutes. It's crazy fast. And all this will already be done. All the activation will be done, all the drivers will be done, the install will be done, the cleanup will be done, the system restarts will be cleaned up, the system restore points will be cleaned up. I just jammed a bunch of words together. Everything you're seeing me do in this video can be done in 6 minutes from an Acronis restore onto the exact same hardware. The backup image will probably be using Acronis, and it uses a mild compression. It'll probably be 25 to 30 gigs in size. So on a 64 gig flash drive, you could fit that easily. Or you can use an external hard drive, and you can put several images. You know, if you have 15 computers and each image is 20 or 30 gigs, as long as you have hard drive space, each image is just a file name. It'll be a big file. And obviously, if this is a new computer, that's why there's not much on it. If your computer has 400 gigs on its hard drive, it's going to take a lot longer to make that image. Still be faster to restore it, though, in my opinion. But the best time to image your computer is after you've done your install, your drivers. If there's things like Microsoft Office or, you know, I wouldn't put your antivirus on it because you may not need the image until well after the antivirus has expired and maybe you went to another company's antivirus. So I wouldn't put antivirus on the clean image. I would just put, you know, whatever major utilities you need, like Microsoft Office, and get it activated, and Windows and get it activated, all your drivers. If there's specific software like Adobe Photoshop or Premiere or QuickBooks or Quicken, get all that installed, but don't start using it yet. That's when you image the machine, when it's ready to rock and roll. And if your hard drive ever fails, all you gotta do is pop a new hard drive in, restore that image back because it'll be a small image, and make sure you have a copy of your data that you can just copy back over and add on whatever applications or antivirus after the fact. It's still gonna be a little time consuming, but nowhere near this whole process. Acronis is a real lifesaver. You can pick up Acronis for like 30 bucks. How is Lyle? Lyle's just lazy. He's hanging around here somewhere. I don't know where he is. IE11 is installing. Oh, yay. Oh, yay. Is this what death feels like? Carrie, have you removed malware bytes from your customers' PCs and replaced it with MCSoft? The customers decide that. Most of my customers are running malware bytes. A few are running MCSoft, and a couple are running both. And I don't recommend both. I recommend one or the other. It doesn't matter to me. Customers can run whatever they want to run. Check on my... It's hard for me to see. You guys can't see what I'm seeing, but I'm a window in a window in a window. So this computer's screen is about that big. So I have to flip over to a different window. I really need two monitors is what I need. But then you wouldn't be able to see me. Let me flip over to the other window and see how we're doing. We're on 168, it looks like, of 192. Installing Windows Internet Explorer 11. Yeah, there's like two in here that take a long time, but a bunch of these are going to fly by pretty quick. And as I mentioned, Microsoft does this with intention. They want Windows 7 to be as difficult and complex to install and configure as possible. They're doing everything they can legally to discourage you from buying Windows 7. Microsoft stopped making Windows 7 last year. Once the inventory of Windows 7, the distributors who still have it, once they run out of inventory, they will not be able to replenish that inventory. Microsoft is wishing that would have happened a lot sooner. Microsoft is not happy that people are still able to go out and buy Windows 7 over a year after they stopped making it and distributing it. But distributors know Microsoft. They saw this coming and they ordered a whole bunch in anticipation that there would be people that would still want Windows 7 3 years after the fact. And there's a lot of fake Windows 7 out there available for sale, so you've got to be very careful that you get a legitimate one. Of course, you're better off just using Windows 10 on a modern computer anyway. I honestly feel like if you want to use Windows 7, get a Gen 6 or earlier Intel-based CPU, and don't use a Ryzen or a Threadripper on the AMD side, or you're going to deal with these headaches. It's much more complicated than Windows 10, but people don't like the telemetry in Windows 10, people don't like the interface on Windows 10, people don't like this, people don't like that, blah, blah, blah. People won't use Linux, people won't go to another platform, it's too complicated to use. They just complain and complain and complain. It's a waste of time to argue and debate with these people, just give them what they want. And they will eventually catch up. They'll be far behind because they stayed lagging for such a long time, but eventually they'll have no choice. And you can talk until your lips fall off. They will not. They will just shake your head like you're an idiot as you're trying to explain to them that they're the idiot, and neither one of you are listening to the other one. So my advice to you is let people do what they want. This video is made so that those people who want that can have it. It is not for me to ask why or to judge or to qualify them, nor is it your job. And appreciate that if it was something you wanted to do, you wouldn't want some punk telling you you're a moron when they don't even understand why you need it, because you could very well have a legitimate reason for needing it. It usually involves conspiracy theory or money, but to suggest that that's not legitimate is preposterous. So anyway, use whatever you want. You want to use 7, you want to use 8, you want to use 10, I don't care. I don't have to live with it, and I don't support you. So do what you like. And please don't discourage other people Be nice. Support each other. How is our install doing? Are we still doing the same thing? Wow, it's taking forever. Yeah, this IE11 update. I mean, imagine that this is a modern computer, as fast as you can possibly buy on the consumer side. Core i7, 7700, NVMe, and it's still taking this long. Crazy, absolutely crazy. You're bottlenecked by Microsoft Server. No, we're not on Microsoft Server. This is the only time we were connected to Microsoft Server is when we were downloading the updates. When you go to Windows Update, the first thing it does is it downloads all the updates. Once it has all the updates, then it starts to install them. That's why when somebody said you should have got the offline Windows Server updates, it's not any faster. In fact, the amount of time it takes to make that, I could already have this downloaded and installed before you're even ready with your offline installer. So unless you're doing a bunch of computers, it doesn't make any sense to invest 5 hours so you can save 2 hours. Not to me, it doesn't make any sense. I won't. I've been down that road. If you're in business and you're running this through numerous computers every day, then investing that 5 hours can shave off about half an hour of the time, but the install is still going to take the exact same amount of time, and that's limited to what the computer is capable of in the processing side. So an older computer will take even longer. Remember, this is a best case scenario with regards to how long does it take to install Windows 7 fresh and clean. And then, of course, all of the obstacles we have to get around because of all of the unsupported hardware. David Cribb, you did not post my fan page. You post my personal page. Please correct that. Do not direct people to my personal Facebook page for support. I will not help you. You've got to go to the fan page if you want support. I don't know what people are thinking when they email me and go, "Can you answer this question for me?" Like, what do you think I'm doing? You think I don't have customers to help? I don't have videos to make? I don't have... no, it's not that I'm mean. There's only one of me and there's only 24 hours in a day. And you and 12 other people that day reached out to me. And I will tell all 12 of you every day, go to the Facebook fan page. Do not go to my personal page. The link is in the video notes below the very video you're watching right now. Are we still on that update? No, we moved on to framework now. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Very good. Very good. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. We just had a little crashing issue there. I resized the wrong screen. Let me resize that back to fit to screen. Come on. Fit to my screen. Why isn't it doing it? Fit to my screen. Keep saying it like that. Maybe it'll work one time. There it is. And then let me put myself back. Where am I going to put myself? No, I don't know why this keeps switching on me. There we go. Hopefully you can still see me. Just had a blue screen error. we should be back in and good to go. So maybe the StarTech card isn't causing the blue screens, or maybe I have to physically pull that StarTech card, because as long as it's installed, the driver's there, right? So the Facebook fan page link is right here. For those of you, the Facebook fan page is open to everybody. They are volunteers. Just cut my link off. You can't see the whole thing, but it actually continues on beyond that. That's the link to the fan page. It also exists in the video notes below this video and all my other videos for that matter, so it's pretty easy to find it. There are volunteers there that will help you as soon as they have time. You are a complete stranger on the internet asking them for help. Please consider that. If they tell you they're unable to help you, that it's beyond of what they're capable of, do not be rude to them. We've had a number of people ask unanswerable questions, or questions that could put them in jeopardy if they answered them, and then people get all ticked off. No, that's not going to work. If you want to get banned from the page, that's a real quick way to do it. These people do not have to help you. They are not obligated to answer you. You are not paying anything for the service. If you are rude, if you are disrespectful, you will be banned. So understand that there are reasons, there are legal reasons why certain questions can't be answered. There are ethical reasons why certain questions can't be answered. And there are technical reasons why certain questions that cannot be answered. And you are welcome to not like that answer, but don't insult or degrade or disparage the admins, because I'll tell you what's going to happen. The admins are going to say, we're not doing this for free anymore, or we're not going to do it at all. And then they'll only help people who pay. And I promise you, everybody who pays is going to be happy. I've never had a customer who's paid complain about. Anytime I've had an issue with a complaint, I have corrected it, or I have given them their money back. In either case, the customer is happy, because they either got the problem fixed or they got their money back. When you do something for free and somebody doesn't get their needs met, then they get all entitled and disrespectful. And if that's the way the world has changed and we start encountering more of that, we've already seen quite a bit of it. If it continues, it will be shut down, or it will be pay only. So I'm warning you, take advantage of it while it's here, because others will ruin it for you. And then if you want to experience it yourself, you should offer to help people for free. And then you'll understand why there's not more of it. All right, we are almost done here, aren't we? Still a little ways to go. I'm having a hard time seeing that. Is that 180 or 190? It's 180. So about 12 more to go. We're almost there. We are almost there. It's exciting. It's like Christmas. But I will tell you, when you help somebody to the best you can, and that person appreciates your effort, it encourages you to want to help more people. And the opposite holds true too. When you try and help somebody to the best you can, and they're ticked off at you because you didn't do exactly what they wanted, how they wanted it, when they wanted it, the way they wanted it, you gave them an answer they didn't want to hear, and they start chewing you out for it, then you think to yourself, why did I even try? And as you get older and as you experience it more and more and more, it's like touching a hot stove over and over and over. And you ask yourself at some point, why do I keep touching this stove? And you stop touching it. You don't hate the stove. You just go, I'm going to avoid it. And be very careful when, in your lifetime, when anybody is doing anything for you free, anything, if they're holding a door open for you, if they're letting you change lanes in front of them, they're slowing down and letting you in, if they're offering you free support and free technical help and free advice, and you think all of that is BS, then say thank you. and go away. Other people see a value. It's interesting to me because, as the expression goes, one person's trash is another person's treasure. Somebody can come into our free support area and get advice and praise and praise and praise. Oh my gosh, you guys saved my life. I can't believe it. I couldn't have done it without you. Give the same advice to another person and they go, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're worthless and you've wasted my time. And they paid nothing. There's no refund to give them. And again, it's just one person's trash is another person's treasure. So all I can do is make you aware that if you're not doing it, that people in our culture and other viewers who are participating in the channel or in the, taking advantage of the free support, they are doing that. So I hope you're not one of them. And if you are, I'm glad I'm not you, because to go through life that way seems pretty pointless. And the admins are fantastic. Paul gives some of the, Paul Ayala, his answers. I wouldn't take the time personally to go to the depth that Paul does to give answers that could be summarized a lot shorter. Paul spends a lot of time thinking about what he's going to say and being very clear about how he says it. And to do that for free, when there's nothing in it for Paul other than a thank you, that's the best he can hope for. Part of me wonders how long Paul can put up with it, but take advantage of Paul while he's there. That's all I can tell you. Take advantage of him before he has enough and walks out, because he's also taken some abuse that's completely uncalled for. And I have no reason to think that me talking about it is going to make any difference whatsoever. It's still going to happen. And probably one of you watching, or two of you watching, or three of you watching, are going to be the ones doing it. But I would still rather lose Paul than be one of you people that do that. All right, we're on 187 of 192. Just 5 more updates, and we are going to be ready to reboot. And then, of course, when it reboots, it's going to have to process the updates. That takes a minute. We are getting there. And there'll be another 4 or 5 rounds of this, but they're going to be pretty quick. But we're going to get to a couple of things that are going to happen. One of the things that's going to happen when we try and do any more updates after this is it's not going to allow them. It's going to tell us your processor's not supported. You can't have any more updates. And by the way, there's 8 more updates, but you can't have them. It'll do that. It'll actually say, it'll like lead you on. Like, you want to check for updates? Okay. There's 8 updates. They're very important. Take them. Boom, screen comes up. You can't have them. You know Microsoft did it that way on purpose, right? You know that's intentional. So then we're going to run the patch that fixes that, so Windows will get the updates like it's supposed to before Microsoft Marketing instituted this big lie. And then we're going to enable Microsoft updates. If you look on the screen down here, at the very bottom it says Get Updates for Other Microsoft Products. And there's a trick to that. And I'm going to show you how you enable that. There's 2 things you have to do. There's not just one. Well, sometimes if you're lucky you only have to do one, but oftentimes there's 2 things and they are not obvious. So I'm going to show you how to get around that. So if you encounter the second thing, it's very simple to get around it. And then when you enable Microsoft updates, that's what's going to offer you Silverlight and Windows Defender. You will not be offered Windows Defender or Security Essentials, the same thing, because that's not a Windows update, that's a Microsoft update. So right now we're just getting updates for strictly Windows, nothing but Windows. And Microsoft Security Essentials / Windows Defender, same product, different names. That's not Windows. That is an antivirus for Windows. So it's an additional add-on for Microsoft for Windows, but is not Windows, if that makes any sense. So we're almost done, 191 of 192. I know this .NET Framework 3.5.1 is big. It's going to take a little bit to install that. Chat room. What's going on, chat room? This install process is for installing Windows 7 on a Generation 7 Intel processor. If you do not have a Generation 7 Intel processor, then this video does not have any meaning for you. All right, now we can finally restart this computer, and it will go through the process of applying these updates. It's going to take just a moment. Now, if you're buying a computer that has a Generation 6 CPU, then the previous video I made that shows you how to update your Windows 7, that will apply to you. Which one applies to you? Well, you'll find out when you build it. If you go to install your Windows 7 and it installs, you didn't need it. If Windows 7 will not install, then you will need it. It's pretty easy to know. It'll be here waiting for you. You don't have to find out that answer today. So this, again, is going to happen as quickly as possible, stage 1 of 3. Again, with the most modern hardware available today on the consumer side. Again, a socket 1151, Core i7 7700, 16 gigs of RAM, NVMe. This is going to be as fast as it can possibly be. If you're doing anything less than this, expect it to take a little bit longer. But this is all being done in real time with no edits. This is all live. And so the time you see on this video is the actual amount of time it's taking. Usually after a big update like this, Windows will take longer to start because it has to still apply all of these updates. And it may actually reboot again. It kind of amuses me how it says it did stage 1 of 3 and it never did stage 2. So it seems like it's actually stage 2 of 2. It's not really stage 3 of 3. Unless stage 2 was the reboot. But is that really a stage? Engineers, they're a different kind of people. They're not like you and I. All right, we're going to be back in Windows here. Now, this is going to be amusing. Check this out. I'm going to wait for these icons down here to propagate. It's going to take just a minute. Here we go. Is that it? I guess that's it. The Samsung Magician, I don't need to wait for that. We're going to go back to Windows Update again. So let's go Programs and Windows Update. Nope, I didn't want Media Player. Well, that's all right. Let's just set that up anyway. Customer's going to have to do that. Let's get that out of the way. And can't see. There we go. Now I can close it. All right, Windows Update, Programs. Windows Update. No, it says there's an important update, and then back here it says your PC uses a processor that is designed for the latest version of Windows. Because the processor is not supported together with the Windows version that you are currently using, your system will miss important security updates. Please select the Learn More link to address this situation. And of course you can hit Learn More, it's going to open the browser, and it's going to take you to their marketing page to try to continue their lie about your hardware not being supported. This is how we define words. Unsupported hardware does not mean the hardware won't work. It means they are choosing a marketing decision to not support it. It's not a technical decision. It is not an engineering decision. There's nothing about the hardware that is lacking or would prevent Windows from updating. They have just voluntarily decided that these processors will not get updates. So we need to just turn that off. Now there's a utility, and I don't know what it stands for. If anybody knows what this stands for, please tell me. It's called WUFUC. And that utility is available from GitHub, and it's going to disable that unsupported hardware message. And we're going to want to download that file. And we've got Windows 7. Where's the download? And you don't want to use the beta version. You want to use the last known good version. And I just have to find it in here. Here we go. WUFUC, downloads. Click here for the latest stable version. That's what I want. We want it for Windows 64-bit, which is this one right here. It's a pretty small download, and it's not really doing any changes to your operating system. It's not, changing any DLL files or anything like that. It's completely reversible if you want to take it off. Click on it, click Run, click Next, agree to the license agreement, click Next, click Install, and then we can close these browser windows out. User account control, yes, give it permission. Again, we can close this out. And we can close this, and we can close this. Then we can hit finish. Now, let's go back to Windows Update. And lo and behold, we can update again. Now we run into another problem where we go, well, what about getting these other updates for other Microsoft products? If you click Find Out More, it's opening in Google Chrome, and that's just not going to work. We have to make Internet Explorer the default browser again. So I'm going to have to go into the control panel, and what is it under? Internet Options, Programs. Tell me if Internet Explorer is not the default. Let's just click Make Default. We can set Chrome back to the default when we're done. And let's do that again. Find Out More. Should open in Explorer. All right, so this is the first time we're running IE11 since we just installed it from the update. And then all this other nonsense opens. Let's close that. And it says this web page wants to run this following add-on, so we're going to allow it. And then nothing happens. Nothing has happened. The add-on never popped up, so we have to close it down, and we have to do it again. This is now the third time I've got to do this, only because Google Chrome was set as the deal. If you didn't install Google Chrome yet, you'd only have to do this twice. So when I click it this time, it's going to allow the pop-up now to appear. Did you make a liar out of me? It should have popped up. See, it still says Windows Update up here. Let's do Find Out More. Well, it's supposed to pop up with a permission, and that's what we just allowed for that to happen, and it's not working. So here's another thing you might need to do. Usually, though, you don't need to do it yet, but go up here to a blank spot up here at the top and right-click and go to compatible. Is it here? Wait. Right-click. Oh, gosh, I always forget where this is. I want to turn on compatibility mode. You'd think Microsoft would be compatible with Microsoft's. You would think IE11 would be compatible with Microsoft.com, but it isn't. Let's go to Menu Bar, and then let's go to Tools. I know there's a shortcut, but I'm going to do it the hard way here. Compatibility View. Just going to hit Add. It's going to put Microsoft.com in there. I'm going to close it. There's the box I wanted, and then click Install, and click Yes. And finally, we are getting, right here it says, it still says Windows Update. I thought that changed. I was wrong. It says you receive updates for Windows and other products from Microsoft Update. That's how you know you did it correctly. Then we can close that window. We don't need that open anymore. And you never have to do it again. It's done. That's it. And now we just go ahead and go through the rest of these updates. And then once all the updates are done, the next thing I'm going to do, once all the updates are done, is I'm going to right-click on the C drive, because I just want to speed up the rest of the stream. I'm going to go to Properties. I'm going to go to Disk Cleanup. But I'm not going to do this until all of the updates are done. I'm going to hit Clean Up System Files because I've got 1.2 gigabytes of downloads that I just put on the hard drive to install updates. Those updates have been out for years. It's not like I'm going to be taking them off. So I can delete all those files I just downloaded from Windows Update. That's going to free up over a gig of hard drive space. Why would you keep that stuff on your hard drive? Somebody goes, well, maybe you want to uninstall the update. Well, if you uninstall the update, you'll be susceptible to whatever that update fixed. Why would you do that? So for the most part, like I say, these updates have been out for years. If they were bad, they would have been fixed by now. Now we can go through this list and just make sure you check every single box, every single one. Just keep scrolling down, check them all, just like Pokemon. Check them all. I know that's not what he says, but it's as funny as I got. All right, then it says it's going to free up 625 megs. And then you click OK, and you let that run, and then you restart, and it'll say System Update, System Cleaning. And then when we come back from that, the next thing we would do is manually delete this folder, which is under Windows, Software Distribution, Downloads. There's a ton of files in here. These are all of the files. There's going to be a lot of this left over. Even though you will have told Windows I want you to clean it, it still doesn't quite clean it all. So just to give you an idea, if I right click on that download and go to Properties, it's 1.32 gigs. So we can empty that entire download directory. Keep the download folder, just empty the contents of it. And then the other thing I'll do is every time it installs these updates, it makes system restore points. So we're going to have a ton of system restore points that the customer, after they get the computer, could mistakenly go back to before all these updates were installed, and then you've lost all this work. So go to Properties, and go to System Protection, and then we're going to configure and delete all of these restore points. Again, this is going to free up somewhere around 6 to 10 gigs of hard drive space. Here, it wants to do one update. Let's go ahead and grab that update right now. Yeah, you can completely clear that software directory. Douglas just texted me random letters. I don't know what any of that means. All right, that's good. Let's go back to check for updates again. You have to keep repeating this process. I keep telling you guys, got to keep going back because there are updates to some updates. So until you get the previous updates, only then will the updates to those updates become available. You may have to do this 4, 5, 6 times, depending on when you do it. In other words, it's 2017 now. They're going to continue to release more and more updates every single month. So if you're doing this in 2019, expect to do it even longer, because that's why service packs exist. They really reduce down this need, and part of every time Windows 10 comes out every 10 months, or every 8 months rather, there's a new Windows 10 every spring and every fall. And that Windows 10 version has all the previous updates already in it. And that's what makes that install so fast and convenient. And every time they update it, it gets better and better. It sees more hardware accurately, installs more accurate drivers, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so this shouldn't take very long now to do these. And like I said, don't delete the updates or the cleanup until the very end, because you're just going to be adding more to it if you continue to download more updates. Windows 10 cleans all this up automatically every 30 days from the date of the download. It gives you 30 days if you need to uninstall it, because once you delete those files, you cannot uninstall those updates anymore. It's just slightly frustrating to me that it's taken Microsoft this long to come up with that. That should have been a feature of Windows 95. Here we go. So here it's telling us that we've got 28 important updates and then we've got 11 optional ones. I'm going to grab Silverlight and I'm going to grab, here's another stupid thing. Microsoft makes you grab an old version of Microsoft Essentials and then it makes you grab the upgrade, which is a whole new install of Microsoft Essentials. I don't want Skype on here. I don't want the preview. We can get the network card driver and we'll get the rest of these optional updates. And then click OK. And then on the important ones, sometimes they're not all checked, like that one's not checked. So let's check it. Click OK. And then install. You've got to agree to the license agreement. And now it's going to install, or it's going to download rather first. Looks like 30 updates, 500 megs. And it's going to download that 500 megs pretty darn quick. You'd be surprised. They're already at 90%. Right? I mean, that's pretty impressive. And then as soon as it grabs the files it needs, it can begin installing. And again, that's really the time-consuming process. These people who think Windows Offline Update are saving them time, it's not really. You know, like I say, the download is not the long part of the update process. It's the installation of the files. And an offline updater won't make that any faster. The only way you can make that faster is to slipstream those into your installation disk. And like I say, sometimes they appear to be slipstreamed and they don't slipstream correctly. And let's say you sold 300 computers that way, and all 300 computers are going to be flawed because one of the updates didn't go in right. And it may not affect all of your customers, but it may affect some of them. And then you're going to have to do a support call that people are going to expect you to do for free because it's your fault. And that's why I prefer to grab all the updates from Windows Update. And it's a great way to test the computer before giving it to the customer, because the customer is going to be getting all the future updates this way. You better make sure this works, or they might be calling you. And this computer is going to California, so it's not like I'm going to just jump in the car and go over there and fix it. Doing a reinstall remotely isn't going to happen. So let me go back over to chat. The internet download speed I've got is about 60 down and about 7 or 8 up. Let's call it 7. 7 up and 60 down. Oh, is Microsoft? That's the other thing. So this update is waiting now for me. It's just going to sit here because it's hidden right down here. You see this icon right here? That's Security Essentials, and you've got to walk through it. Click Next. Agree to the license agreement. I do not want to participate. Click Next. Click Next. Click Install. Finally, we can get it installed. And click Finish. Now it's going to open up and download. As soon as I hit X and close this, it's going to open a browser window to, say, welcome to Microsoft Security Essentials. Watch. Let's close it. And there it is. I'm going to close that too. And it didn't actually close. It's right down here in the system tray and it's updating. But in the meantime, the rest of the updates can continue. So thank you for alerting me to that in the chat. I didn't expect it to come up that soon. And that's just the first Microsoft Essentials. Now there's going to be the update to Security Essentials. And that's going to overwrite the one we just put on, making the first one we put on completely pointless. But again, Microsoft does this with intention. It's not illegal. It's just really shady, in my opinion, really shady business practices. They are trying to discourage you. They cannot, by law, take Windows 7 from you. If they could, they would. I assure you. If they could, by law, disable Windows 7 entirely, they would have done so. this is what they can do as loopholes in the law to legally get you so frustrated that you want to go to Windows 10. And it has nothing to do with the hardware you bought. It has nothing to do with any technical limitation. This is strictly Microsoft marketing doing everything they can to get you so frustrated that you want to dump Windows 7 and go to 10. And that way, they did it all legally. Morally, ethically, not so much. But they got shareholder dividends to pay. That's what they care about. You, they don't care about, unless you're one of the shareholders. And that's pretty much every publicly owned corporation in America. That's how they work. So, politics aside, that is the reasoning behind it. That is the business acumen behind these decisions that are being made, and why this is so difficult to get through. And in a moment, we're going to see that little icon down here on the system tray again for Windows Security Essentials. We'll have to go through that whole process a second time. One of my favorite YouTubers is he goes by the name of Barnacules Nerdgasm, and he used to work as a programmer for Microsoft, and he can verify everything I'm telling you is in fact true. And he's had to deal with it as an engineer and as a coder. He's had to deal with being told by management to code things that don't make any sense or that are actually hindering to the consumer, going against his morals and his ethics. But it's not his company, and he has to do what he's told to do. And he doesn't work there anymore. So, what does that tell you? It tells me more about Microsoft than it tells me about him. All right, we are just about wrapping this up. Update 14 of 30. Isn't that weird that for whatever reason, update number 3, I think, was Security Essentials. And you think the 2 Security Essentials would install back to back. But for whatever reason, they throw on these other updates. And by the way, if I didn't select Security Essentials, if I installed everything else but Security Essentials, and then I rebooted, and then I grabbed those 2 Security Essentials, one would install, and then the other one would install right away. So it's interesting that Microsoft chooses this different order, which forces you to have to pay attention, because like I say, there's going to be that little icon down here at the bottom of the taskbar again, and it's going to halt Windows Update until you click on it and proceed through that installation of the updated Security Essentials. And then when you've done that, the update will continue, because it only does one update at a time, and since that update hadn't finished because you haven't clicked it, it patiently waits until you decide to click it. And the offline updater isn't going to automate that for you. I guess there's ways to automate it, but again, for me, a lot of times when I'm doing the big first update, I just do it at night and go to bed. When I wake up in the morning, I hit restart. It's not a big deal. Computers sip power now, so it's not like it's really costing me anything to leave it on. Just turn the monitor off. That's where all your power's going. All right, 20 of 30 is going. And these follow-up updates all happen pretty quick. It's just that you have to keep rebooting and checking and repeat that process until there are no more. I'll leave any previews alone. I don't install the previews. I'm not going to install Skype. If the customer wants Skype, they can install it. And if Windows 7 offers me any driver updates, I did take the one for the network card, but if there were video card ones, I see a lot of bad driver update suggestions in Windows 7. And this is something they've done a lot of progress with in Windows 10, where it just happens automatically or auto-magically. And I love that. People should not have to go and look for drivers and experiment and figure out, I just crashed my computer because it was the wrong one. Or I just went to a website that claimed to have a driver and now I've got a virus or malware. One of the major ways customers come to me with infections is because they try to install a driver or a codec. There's just too many scams out there. So to let Windows handle it automatically is not only more painless to the end user, it avoids that opportunity for the scammers to take advantage of that. So good on Microsoft for finally starting that process. But it does require cooperation from the manufacturers, and sometimes the manufacturers don't want to play. And then, what's Microsoft supposed to do if the manufacturers won't provide them with new drivers? Microsoft's not going to write their own drivers for some offshoot video cam or webcam. So that's one of the other issues you deal with when you buy this cheap, no-name brand hardware. You run into a lot of driver issues, especially when there's an update to the operating system and the manufacturer doesn't exist anymore, or they don't have the resources available to update the driver. And so that piece of hardware, even though there's nothing physically wrong with it, was no longer function with your operating system. And now you'll have to go and buy another one. And so in the long run, did it actually save you any money? Not to mention the investment of time and the frustration, and you have to figure all this out. You might have to pay a tech, or you might have to invest the Google time yourself and research it. Just buy something from a quality manufacturer that's got a good reputation and have peace of mind. And the difference that you'll save, it's insignificant. You probably spend more money on lunch. Okay, almost done. 36 of 40, 27 of 30. My eyes are just fine. Staring at a screen for hours has had no effect on my vision. Maybe just a little. And it still hasn't appeared for Security Essentials yet. Maybe they're saving that one for last. It looks like it, because that's 29 now, so 30 has to be Security Essentials. That's got to pop up any moment, which is great. That means I could have walked away from this and came back, and as soon as I click through it, it would be done. Sometimes it happens in the middle, and then, say you let it run overnight, you wake up in the morning, you click through it, and it goes, still has more updates to install. Once all of this has been done and all the file cleanup has been done, then that would be the time to enter your product key and activate your Windows. The reason you don't want to do it before that is as it detects new hardware on an activated Windows, it might think that those are hardware changes, and it may break your activation if it does it too many times. Microsoft has a limit, and then you have to activate it again. What a hassle, especially when you can run Windows 7 for 30 days without activation. What's your hurry to activate? You've got 30 days to do it. Make sure everything's running well and the way it should be, because if it's not, maybe you have to start over again, but now you just activated it. There's no way to deactivate it. When you go to activate it the second time, Microsoft's going to force you to call them and explain to them why you're activating it again when you just activated it, because it looks like you just installed it on 2 different computers. This is not a problem you'll have with Windows 10. Finally, we've got our Security Essentials. Let's upgrade, accept, do not want to participate. You can participate if you want to. I don't want my customers' data going out. If they have a customer file that's infected and then it sends it to Microsoft for analytics, it could violate rules of their industry. But if you're a consumer at home, if you want to turn it on, feel free to turn it on. Good, that's done, and now we can restart. Now we can get a pretty good idea of the boot time on this. You can pay attention to the clock ticking on the bottom of the stream. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Because when it starts up again, it's still going to have to apply updates. So it's still not going to be as fast of a startup as it will be once all of the updates are all done. Here we go. Yeah, normally it won't even form that little flag. Usually it'll boot up before that happens. And it's because of the updates. All right, we can go back to Windows Update again. Two important updates, let's grab them. You see, it keeps creating restore points. That's why you wait until all of these updates are installed, then delete all those old restore points so your customer doesn't accidentally go back to before the updates and undoes all that work you just did. It is a critical point of any repair, especially like a virus removal. You have got to clear those old restore points. And besides that, you're freeing up hard drive space. And on a solid state drive, it's pretty valuable hard drive space. So why let it consume with unusable restore points or restore points you shouldn't be using? These updates, as I mentioned, they should happen pretty quickly. It doesn't require a restart, so we can go back to check for updates again. You're going to get a little notice down here that it installed new updates. Click on it and click OK, and that notice will go away. It's just a list of all the updates that I've installed. And now we're going to see if there's any more. Is this round 5? 4? I've lost count of how many times I've checked for updates now. I think this is 4. Paul Ayala has a video ready about using portable apps. I'll see if I can get that video uploaded for tomorrow, since it just doesn't require much for me, maybe just an intro to introduce it. And that's good for installing any applications you want to put on, like Adobe PDF Reader or something like that, Acrobat. And he's got it done. I just have to make an intro for it. I don't know if I'll do it in a live stream or if I'll just, I don't know yet. I'll figure it out tomorrow. This hopefully won't take much longer. Come on. Just waiting for this check for updates to finish. These usually don't take as long. I'm actually a bit surprised at how long this one is taking, but we'll just let it run a little bit longer here. Patience is certainly key when you're doing an install of Windows 7 and you've got just a lot of updates to get. There we go. So it looks like found 7 more important updates, 6 optional ones. Let's see what these 6 are. Definition updates we can grab. It's probably going to keep offering those to us. I do not want Skype. I want these two. Why does it? You know what? I'm just not going to do those right now. So let's just click OK. Let's hit install. That shows a pretty big update here, but look, it already grabbed it. It must have been something we had downloaded previously. Maybe it was a couple of updates that failed before. Sometimes updates have to go in a certain order, or they have to go in after other updates. And so if you see that certain updates have failed, don't freak out about it. Just check again. If it continues to fail, restart, check it again. If it still continues to fail, you're going to have to do a little Google research on what the update number is and what the failure number is. And I'm sure somebody's already resolved it long before you. And that's the benefit of not being a pioneer. That's the benefit of coming into a mature operating system, is most of the problems you're going to encounter will have already been resolved years ago by somebody else. So you're not reinventing the wheel. So again, creates another system restore point, as it does every single time. Dogs are running in. Here we go, finally getting there. And then we don't have to grab the definition updates that way. We can come down here and we can go to update and we can grab the definitions this way, and we can do both of those at the same time. Because I have found Microsoft Update or Windows Update to keep offering me the same definition update over and over and over. But when I come down and I grab it this way, that's when it finally seems to understand that I've already got it. So we'll just kill two birds with one stone here on that. Let me just move this over a little bit. It's probably going to want to restart on update 7 of 7. This should, even if it wants to restart, we want to wait for this. Yeah, it does. We want to wait for this to finish. You'll see it failed 5. After all that time, it successfully did 2. It failed 5. Sometimes it fails them because it previously applied them and it foolishly didn't recognize they were already installed. But we'll find out the truth on the reboot. There's no sense looking up this code at this point. This is the first time we're seeing this. Not to worry. It may be that these 2 had to go in before these 5, or these 5 were already installed and it just failed to recognize that. So we're going to go ahead and let this complete down here so that we make sure that Security Essentials has got the latest virus definitions. And this also can take a while. My thanks to Troll McTrollington, who's contributed 15 Canadian dollars. Says, here's some Canadian cash for your patience of dealing with Windows 7 updates from scratch. You, sir, are a saint. Well, thank you, Troll McTrollington. You don't seem like much of a troll. I think your name is a bit of a misnomer. Appreciate your contribution to the channel. There we go. Now I can close that and restart that. Then we're going to come back in and check for Windows updates again. Maybe now we can get a good idea of how quickly Windows 7 loads. Maybe. We're about to find out. Maybe not, if it's going to go through this again. It's not too shabby, but still doing updates though. I think it'll boot faster once it's all done. I don't think it'll even form the flag. I think those little dots are going to come together and then the desktop's going to be up. Okay, so back to Windows Update again. I'm just going to hit install. We don't even have to check. You'll see it says downloading. It probably already downloaded them, so it's just checking what we have now versus what's available on the server. And if everything matches up, if all of the hash codes are good, then it'll jump right to the installation, which is what it did previously, which is why I think it'll do that again. Yeah, it's jumping right through that. There's no way it downloaded. I don't think it downloaded 211 megs that quick. My internet connection's not that fast. And it's already at 99%. So I think it was just calculating the hash and then comparing the two hashes and then verified it, and then it said, okay, you're good to install. So now we're going to install 4 updates. Gainsy95 has contributed £5. He says, love your vids, Carrie. Have a fireball on me. Well, thank you, Gainsy. Again, thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate that. Installing update 2 of 4. We are getting there. And it's past my dinner time. Three of 4. Come on, let's go. Got things to do. Then you should have bought Windows 10. All right, all right. You made your point. All right, last one for this round, and then we can probably reboot and do it again. We've got to be close to being done. This is number 6, I think, right? I think there was a total of 8. I can't remember. And again, as time moves on, the older this video gets, the more updates there are going to be. Every month, Microsoft releases more updates. And until there's a service pack for Windows 7, and Microsoft has made it very clear they have no intention of releasing a service pack for Windows 7, you can expect this process to continue to become more and more discouraging as time goes on. And you will become more and more open-minded to not using Windows 7. Doesn't mean you might want to use Windows 10. You might want to use Linux. You might want to just go get a Chromebook. You might be so angry at Microsoft at all this, you may not want to deal with them ever again. And nobody could blame you. But Microsoft is betting that you will go to 10. And they're right. The vast majority of people will bite the bullet and just grab 10. Very few people will actually follow through with switching to Mac or Linux or a Chromebook. Some will, but not enough to make any financial difference to Microsoft. Okay, back again. Windows Update. Check for updates. What I'm mostly concerned about are the important updates. The optional ones are optional. You don't have to grab them all. If there are updates you know for a fact you don't want, like Skype, you can right-click on it and hide it. I won't be doing that because this is not my computer, and the customer will be able to make the decisions that's right for them. This is just to make the computer as close to plug and play as I can get it, so that when the customer does receive it, they can immediately start loading the software they need on it, get it configured on their network, and then put the employee to work. That's the whole goal here. Ricky Budram says, here's $5. Thank you for the videos you made. I built a system from watching your videos back around 2013, and I see you as my uncle in the tech world. Well, doesn't the uncle usually give the nephew $5? Well, anyway, thank you, Ricky. I appreciate that, and I'm always happy to hear when somebody has been inspired to build their own computer by watching my videos and seeing how easy it is, and then succeeding. It's And everybody succeeds, by the way. Even those that initially have failures and self-doubt, we get through it. And they get a really priceless learning experience from that. So thank you for the contribution. Question in the chat is, they've got a solid state drive, they know they should not defragment it. That is true. Do not defragment your solid state drive. Windows 10 does some auto defrag stuff that happens, but it's not the kind of defrag you're accustomed to. It's actually important on a solid state drive. They need to come up with a different word for it. But you can use CCleaner on it for sure if you want to clean up temp files. CCleaner's a great utility for that. It looks like we still have more updates to grab here too. What a shock. 3 important updates and 3 optionals. What are the 3 optionals? Still wants a definition update, and not worried about that. I will grab these 2 though. And then on the other 3, are those already checked? Those were already checked. Click OK. Click Install. As I mentioned with CCleaner, you never want to install CCleaner. Always download the portable version. I have a video that shows you how to do that. If you just type in if you type in YouTube search, Carrie Holzman CCleaner, you'll see my CCleaner video. Download the portable version of CCleaner, use it, and then erase it, delete it. When you need CCleaner again, go download the portable version again. CCleaner is updated frequently, and you do not want an old version of CCleaner running on your computer. It could damage a Windows update or a driver update that it's not aware of, and that's why CCleaner, it is critical that you're always using the latest version. And there's no sense adding more software to your computer that you're trying to clean. That doesn't even make any sense. So always use the portable version. Looks like that update happened pretty darn quickly. I'm happy about that. Let's restart again. Let's hope this is the last one. Let's hope. What was that, 7? So this next one's going to be like 8. If I'm not mistaken, I'm guessing at this point. There's been so many I've lost count. You guys have the benefit of rewinding the video and counting them. I have real life. I don't have a rewind button. I wish I did. I really wish I did. Okay, let's see. Good. 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 Let's go back to Windows Update. Start. Programs. Windows Update. Check for updates. You can't believe the default screen that comes up here. You have to manually check. Make it go look. And hopefully it's going to come back with just Skype, the preview, and if it's a definition update for Defender or Security Essentials, it'll grab that. Essentials checks on its own anyway. That's always going to be updated constantly because there's over 100,000 new viruses or malware threats released out onto the internet each and every day. So updates to your antivirus should be numerous times every day if it's a good antivirus or a good security product. Okay. Carl Taranella has just contributed $2. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate your contribution. Everything helps. Carrie, do you have any use for a socket 775 CPU or a SCSI tape drive? Nope. Don't have any use for a tricycle either. Kind of outgrew all that long time ago. But thanks for asking. Oh, look. There's more updates. 4 more important updates. These optional ones, I'm going to skip all those. We're just going to grab these 4 important ones. They're all checked. Click OK. Click Install. That should be number 8. I think that's it. I think after this, we will be done with the updates, and then we can clean the update folder, like I mentioned earlier. And see, it's already grabbed it. It was a quick download. It was only 12 megs. Again, it creates another restore point, and that's why we've got to go in and get those restore points out of there. No restarts required, but we get this flag that comes up, so I got to open it and close it so that goes away. We'll check for updates again. And we should be good to go at this point. So assuming no more important updates are available, and we're going to have those same 3 optional ones we don't need, then I'm going to restart, and I'm going to start my cleanup process. And I'll show you. Again, that's a little time consuming, especially on a mechanical hard drive. An SSD makes this process so much faster, by the way. We'll check that here in just a minute. All right, as you can see, we've got no important updates available, just the 3 optional ones are remaining. We are good to go. So let's go ahead and close it all down, and we're gonna restart. Now we can actually measure how long a restart takes without worrying about updates affecting the boot time. There we go. Start your clocks. I like to see the flag not form. I like to see the little lights come together, and just as you think it's going to form a flag, it should just go right into Windows. That's what I'm waiting to see. Like right now. Nope. It's a little slower than I expect it to be by milliseconds. So let's do the cleanup, just like what I had described. Double click my computer, right click on the C drive, pay attention to how much data is on that C drive right now. That's just Windows. We haven't put anything else on there. Well, the Samsung Magician software, but that's it. Windows and drivers. Right, so if you had a 64 gig SSD, you'd be hurting right now. Let's hit disk cleanup. Let's clean up system files. This does take a moment as it has to look through all the Windows updates. There we go. Make sure all the boxes, every single box is going to be checked. Then I'm going to click OK. Delete files. And then we have to wait some more. I have seen this on a mechanical hard drive on an older Windows 7 system. Forget the Kaby Lake stuff. Just on a typical older Windows 7 system from 5 or 6 years ago where nobody has ever done this, I have seen this take over 90 minutes to complete. So this is one of those things you often want to walk away from. But with SSD, like I said, it happens very, very quickly. So with that done now, watch what happens when I restart. I want to immediately restart because this cleanup is not done until you restart. Watch. Watch what the screen says. It actually gives you this information like it's installing an update, but it's the cleanup process that it's doing. And eventually it will tell you that. That's cool. All right, here we go. Now we should see the cleaning up screen. And of course, like I mentioned, once we do all this cleanup, we will not be able to uninstall any of those updates. But I don't want those updates coming off. Those updates are very important. That's why we took the time to put them in. So, and like I say, Windows 10 will take them off automatically after 30 days, which makes sense. If you haven't had a problem in 30 days as a result of the update, you're not going to have one as a result of the update. You'll have a problem for some other reason. And it's still doing the disk cleanup. That's all this is. This is all just disk cleanup. It's actually taking a bit longer than I thought it would. But that's all the junk we just downloaded. There we go, finally. It's saying configuring Windows updates, so it's really cleaning Windows updates. It's a bit misleading. There's the cleaning up message. That's what should have been up this whole time, in my opinion. We're getting there. Almost there. We're almost there. Like I said, on a mechanical hard drive, I've seen this take 90 minutes. But on an SSD, it all happens much, much faster. So we're just waiting for that cleanup to finish, and then you're going to see all the stuff the cleanup missed. I can tell you, I have not had a customer who's ever needed to uninstall an update in 6 years. And most of these updates are over 6 years old. These are well-established, mature updates. The vast majority of them are. Obviously, the most recent ones aren't, but out of 192 updates, probably 160 of those are over 5 months old. Well over 5 months old. So Microsoft really has to test updates very thoroughly. The idea that you would have a customer that could potentially need to uninstall an update is highly unlikely. Like I said, I haven't experienced that in at least 6 years. on Windows 7, 8, 10, or even Windows XP. So, just hasn't happened. You know, what do you do if a meteor falls out of the sky and lands on your foot? You deal with it. What are the odds it's going to happen? Based on my experience, the odds of a customer having an issue with an update are about 1 in 10 million. Seriously. Very, very unlikely. So usually the customers that have those issues are more server-related corporate custom software type issues. And well, my example of 1 in 10 million is exaggerated. That's the point. Your idea that you think it could happen is just as equally exaggerated. But I don't support your customers and you don't support mine. And if you don't want to do the cleanup and you want to consume your customers' valuable SSD space for just in case indefinitely, I don't care. I respect my customers to, get the most out of their investment. I don't want to consume their solid-state drive with a bunch of files they no longer need. Wow, this cleanup is taking way too long. I don't recall it taking this long before. This is crazy. Crazy, crazy. This should be done about once a year, in my opinion, on Windows 7. You could do it twice a year if you want. Anything more than that, it's not going to remove enough to be significant. We just downloaded 6 years of updates, or something like that. 4 years of updates. Is it 4 years or 6 years? I can't remember now. And so it's going to take a while to get all those cleared out. And just be patient, stick with it. Don't turn the computer off, don't interrupt it, and let it finish. Someone says sometimes the disk clear up hangs. It does that often, even in Windows 10. It's possible. I want to give it a little bit more time just to be sure. This is a very fast computer. This should not be taking this long. It very well may be hung up. But I just want to give it just a little bit longer here, and if I don't see any progress, I'll hit the reset button. I think a lot of people assume incorrectly that things are locked up because they're impatient. And I really want to avoid interrupting the process unless I'm fairly confident it's no longer moving. One of the ways you can do that is just by looking at the hard drive LED and see if it's active or if it's off. And right now the hard drive LED, it's blinking intermittently, so it's doing something. So we're just going to let it wait just a little bit longer. Well, I still see hard drive activity. It is still doing something, but I have no idea what it is. It's blinking like crazy. And I hear the CPU fan ramping up and slowing down, so the computer is doing something. I don't know what it is. I don't really believe it's taking this long. Yeah, it's just taking much longer than other machines I've done, and I'm suspecting something's not right. But every time I look at the hard drive, I'm seeing it blinking, So it's telling me it's working. But I'm going to go ahead and reset it because I'm tired of waiting. And let's see what happens on the reboot. If this was a mechanical drive, I'd think nothing of it. But because it's a super fast NVMe SSD, something suggests to me that, something is not configured correctly. We're just going to start Windows normally. And now it's going to punish me. Your call is very important to us. I don't think anything's wrong with the system. I think I just need to be patient. If this wasn't a live stream, I would just be going out to dinner. And if I came back from dinner and it said, please wait, I'd know something is wrong. But when you're staring at it, a second feels like 10 seconds, you know? It's like watching a pot of water go to boil or watching grass grow. It feels like it takes forever. But if you distract yourself with something else to do and just let the computer run, generally speaking, you'll know for sure if it's locked up or not, if it hasn't moved in a significant amount of time. And I'm not real worried about it at this point. Windows has loaded. It appears to be doing something. I just don't know what it is. Let's see what my hard drive light's doing. Hard drive light's still blinking. It's not a blinking, it's still blinking. This is interesting that that we're getting this please wait for this long. I'm going to reset it again, and I'll reset it again after that. I'll show this thing who the boss is. Hallelujah. Okay. Now, that shouldn't happen to you. I don't know why it happened to me. Sometimes these things happen when you're live. If I wasn't recording it, it probably wouldn't have happened. Let's look at a space on the hard drive now. Okay, we're still using 53. So watch this. We're going to go into Windows Software Distribution. Oops, Software Distribution. Download. Control A to select everything. Hold down Shift and Delete because I don't want this going in the recycle bin. I just want it all gone. Let's delete all that. Continue. So that's going to delete almost a gig right there. I'm going to go back into my system restore, and well, we can multitask. So while it's doing that, system protection, configure, delete. We're going to free up that hard drive space right there. Good. Those files we downloaded, we no longer need. So we can go to the download directory, which is over here. Just go to downloads. We can highlight all of that. All of that can be deleted. If you hold down Shift when you hit the delete button, it will not send it to the recycle bin, so it'll save you a step. And it'll delete faster. Ooh, it's clearing out 2 gigs. Cool. All right, now, what's our hard drive space look like? We were at 53. We just dropped 10 gigs. Do that math. It said it was deleting 2. So you can't believe Windows. When you get down to about the upper 30s, lower 40s, that's about the best you can expect. That's reasonably clean. We could run CCleaner to get rid of the very few temp files we've made, both using the browser, but for the most part, it's just not worth running yet. It's a brand new computer, so. And never, ever, ever clean your registry with anything ever. Just don't do it. Don't clean your registry. Don't clean it. It's pointless. But if you want to delete temp files, CCleaner is good for that. All right, so let me turn off, what is that, camera 2? And let's bring back camera 1. And see if I can fit this to the screen. There I am. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the build. At this point, this is where we can put in the product key and activate it. Everything's good to go, ready to rock and roll. Cable management then, panels, back in the box, off to the customer, ready to rock and roll. Hope you found the stream useful. I will see all the guys, try that again. I will see you guys very, very soon. Should have a video up again tomorrow on portable apps. And until then, bye for now.